9BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Ambers. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Hey, look, if this weekend is anything like last night, we are in for a treat as we welcome you in to the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free to download Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn apps. And our video stream is up now, streaming live on Twitch and on YouTube at The Fan Rochester. Both Gino and I wearing the quarter zip today. We are, as my daughter said when she saw me wearing the quarter zip, she says, this is the conversation this morning as I'm getting my coffee. Mm-hmm. Nice quarter zip, Dad. I said, okay, tell me. She's like, it's performative. I said,
performative male?
You remember this conversation?
Yeah, she knows about the performative male.
This is a thing now with the kids, trickled down to the kids. She's like, nice quarter zip, Dad. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, performative. And I remember immediately you bringing up that Fordham, your alma mater, was ranked the highest school with performative males. And we did a dive on this. We were trying to figure out, all right, what exactly is
the performative
male? And I'm like, I asked my daughter, I'm like, what does that mean? She goes, yeah, you performative males, they wear quarter zips and they drink matcha and they listen to, cool, emotional, indie music. And I'm like, I don't know that I'm a performative male. I feel like I've already done the dance. I'm wearing the quarter zip because it's my uniform as a dad, is it not?
This is literally my uniform for RIT tonight. Tigers against Robert Morris. I don't have time to change, so it's like I don't think this makes me a performative male.
You can watch a couple of performative males do play-by-play for RIT men's hockey in their quarter zips tonight. That jarred me a little bit when she threw that at me. I'm like, wait a minute, what do you know about performative males? Yeah, they're guys that are trying to impress girls by drinking matcha and wearing quarter zips. I'm like, okay. Fordham is not going to be on her list of schools. We're not sending my daughter to Fordham.
Actually, if she goes to Mercy Danger, just bring her on campus.
I'm telling you. Maybe she's
Uncle Gino can bring her on campus.
Maybe everybody at McQuaid is a performative male. I don't know. But she snuffed me out immediately this morning. And when I saw that we were both wearing the quarter zips, I'm like, well, here we go. Performative males on display every afternoon in the sports bar.
I think kind of when I was in college was kind of a performative male doing things for the wrong reasons. So.
Right. You weren't wearing quarter zips. It was different then.
It was different then. My ploy was my buddy asked me to fill in at the Sunday night mass, and I did the reading, and then I realized in class that week, conversations began. I began continuing the readings.
Uh-huh.
Probably I'm going to have to answer for that someday. Maybe like, what are you doing?
Using mass to get chicks.
It works, dude.
G. Battaglia is going to write a book. Religion to get chicks. A handbook to being a performative male.
Trust me. Honestly.
We have an unbelievable weekend ahead of us, as I mentioned, not just with the second of college football semifinals tonight, but, of course, Super Wildcard weekend, Bills and Jags on Sunday. I'm fired up for Saturday night, the Bears and the Packers. Gino, I'm finishing menial tasks all day, and I'm doing the first down celly every chance I get. I mean, I hope for the sanity of this broadcaster that both the Bears and the Bills emerge victorious after this weekend.
I mean, if the Bills lose to who would be the biggest rival? Probably like this time it's Kansas City, but New England. It's the Bears and Packers.
It's the only divisional game. Yeah,
that's amplified though.
Yeah.
That I don't know if you knew this or not.
Tell me.
This is the longest rivalry in the NFL.
Gee, really? Is it really? You're also going to hear that this is only the third time that they've faced each other in the postseason. We don't talk about the second time. We do not talk. And I hope that there isn't a curse of Caleb brewing in Chicago because the last time a Caleb played quarterback for the Bears in the postseason, his last name was Haney.
Ooh.
And he threw a pick six to B.J. Raji in 2010.
Oh, that's right.
Big B.J. Raji. I still have nightmares, hoping for a better outcome this Saturday.
But you got your peacock. You're all good for
all
tomorrow
good, man.
night.
I've got a cauldron of chili waiting to simmer over a smoky fire. We're going to have a feast. We're going to eat, drink, and be merry all weekend. All weekend. It's going to be fantastic. And we're going to talk about the Bills and the Jags throughout the course of this afternoon. Damon Amendolara, host of the Bill Maddock podcast, is stopping by at 4:25.
So last time we talked to DA was after the Browns game. So here we are out of the holidays. And, well, DA is among the chorus of saying, hey, if this doesn't go right, should the Bills consider options? He's got thoughts on that. That'll be coming up at 4:25. I know everybody else wants to prefer, hey, who would be the best divisional round matchup? Would it be Pittsburgh, Houston, or dare I say Denver? DA will be joining us at 4:25.
Later this hour, our insider for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Mia O'Brien, Action Sports Jax, will be stopping by. You also hear her on ESPN Radio. She's fantastic. We always lean on Mia when the Bills face off against the Jags, and today will be no different. I just want to know the biggest differences, aside from the coach and the coaching staff. Last year's Jags team and this year's Jags team. It was 15 months ago that the Bills waxed Jacksonville in primetime 47-10. And a lot of the same personnel for both teams still remains. So we'll get Mia's take on everything that's going on in Jacksonville over the course of the last 15 months and have these two teams facing off against each other in Jacksonville on Sunday afternoon. Mia O'Brien joins us in about 20 minutes or so.
Time for your calls at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Before we get to our picks, Danger, we want to talk to a lot of people today. Give us your picks. Tim in San Diego. Welcome, Tim.
Well, I'm not a performative male by any means, but I wear quarter zips a lot. And
apparently you are, Tim.
Yeah, you are.
You are, by definition.
I don't drink matcha. I will never drink matcha. All right. I drink beer.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Thank you. That's my rant on that. As far as the game this weekend, I'm still surprised that Buffalo's still a 1.5 point favorite. I don't know why that is. Coming in, you think, who has more questions about their team coming into this matchup? Obviously, that'd be Buffalo. You see Jacksonville riding the 8-game winning streak. I know we talked a lot about that on Monday. Sure, who they played during that streak. They beat two playoff teams where they beat them handily. I just don't understand. I'm not confident, in the Bills right now for some reason. I don't know. I mean, having Maxwell Harrison out is going to hurt, obviously. And just, everything else about this team, it's just they've been inconsistent at times, more often than consistent, obviously. The play calling has been inconsistent. Joe Brady's going to have to come up with his most creative, play calling, I think, of the season, to really keep the Jags defense, on their toes, and, a lot of misdirection, but I don't know if he's got it in him or not, because he gets really lazy because he likes to pound with the same play if it's working and all that. So I'm curious, fellas. What are your thoughts as far as, who has more questions going into this game this weekend?
Oh, and there's another question, too, because one team has a kid that can hit from 67, 68, and I don't know who's kicking for the Bills this week, to be honest.
I hear they might be looking into Ole Miss's kicker. He's got a pretty good leg. He's good from distance. I don't know if he's available to them or not, but I would be
Not
interested.
just yet, no.
Thanks for the call, Tim, and thanks for starting us off. You're setting us up perfectly for us to give our predictions for Sunday's game. Now, I gave mine this morning on the break room on CMF. I know that the entire Rochester community is holding their breath, waiting, sitting on the edge of their seat for you, Gino, to share your thoughts on this matchup.
What is the meme, boo this man?
Boo this man.
I don't know if it's actually allowed for anybody in Western New York media to pick against the Bills, but my job isn't to raise pom-poms. The problems are all right out in front of you. They are. There are some areas where Jacksonville can expose Buffalo in this game. If they go three wide, just look where Dane Jackson might be or Taron Johnson might be. continue to run the football. They can force some turnovers, put pressure on Josh Allen. The Bills will get some points. But I am picking this one, and this is going to sting. 31-19, Jacksonville. And I'm picking the odd 19 because,
you don't know who's kicking.
Don't know who's kicking. Doesn't feel good.
Lots of 2-point attempts and maybe some missed 2-point attempts. I kind of figured you were going to go that way. All week I've gotten the impression that you were just not I think you and Tim and honestly a lot of Bills fans feel nervous going into this game. And guess what? Totally justified.
It looks like a different Trevor Lawrence to me. He's the hottest quarterback coming into the postseason. When we looked at the beginning, before we even got to any of this, what's the one team you don't want to face? Well, Houston's defense, but not Jacksonville the way they're playing. Jacksonville went in Denver and did them a number. So, yes, they're scheduled. Like the Patriots, they played a bunch of crappy teams, but so have the Bills.
So I think that there's been a lot in the national narrative, and I know that it's been talked about ad nauseum. This has to be Josh Allen's year. There's no Patrick Mahomes. There's no Lamar Jackson. All of that is to me is crap. The thing that I do believe, and that I have heard a lot from everybody, is it's wide open. The AFC is wide open. Who's good? We've been asking the question all season long. Who's good in the AFC? And somebody will say 1 week Denver, and somebody will say 1 week, hey, the Bills look really good. And you're right, the Bills at times were inconsistent, but they're still a 12-win team, and that's not an easy thing to do. And the reason why we all feel the way that we feel going into this game is we're going to feel this way if they advance. We're going to feel this way for the rest of the season because we don't know. This year there hasn't been a team that has raised its hand and said, you ain't going to beat us. We're dominant. We felt that way in the past about the Chiefs. We certainly felt that way for years with the Patriots. On the NFC side of things, you could say that about a team like the Eagles. Like, wow, they are kicking ass. And we felt that way about the Bills through parts of this run in the postseason where the Bills look dominant. And there have been games this season where the Bills have looked dominant. It doesn't happen as frequently as we'd like, but they still win more than they lose, obviously. They're a 12-win team, and they're in the postseason. There was a stat that we shared earlier this week, and I actually looked into it a little bit deeper. We'd been saying earlier this week, we were saying that the Jags, since 2020, were 0-16 when the over-under is 49 or more. You could actually expand that statistic and date back to 2007 that the Jags are 0-25 since 2007 when the over-under is 49 or more. Trevor Lawrence has never won. He's 0-8 when the over-under is 49 or more. There was also, I think Maggie said, no, I can't remember who said it. Somebody made the point. You think I think it was Maggie yesterday. You think Sean McDermott is going to lose to a first-year head coach? Do you think he can't lose to Liam Cohen? As good as Liam Cohen might be, you can't. You're Sean McDermott, man. You won 5 straight division titles. You've taken your team to the AFC Championship. You can't lose your first matchup against Liam Cohen. I think the Bills do have an advantage there. 3 seeds that are underdogs are just 2-15 straight up and against the spread since 2004.
That's a stat right there. Say that again.
3 seeds, the Jags, that are underdogs are just 2-15 straight up and against the spread since 2004.
Since this is Buffalo -1, that would indicate a Bills win, I would think.
27-24 Bills. And it's going to be uncomfortable, folks. If they do get past Jacksonville, we're going to be feeling the same way for as long as they're playing football this year. It's not going to be easy. Every game is going to make us nervous.
Can we, all right, say that's, where do they go next? I think it would be a trip to Denver because as much as I want to root for the Chargers, I think New England being at home. Yeah.
I disagree. I think the Chargers are going to upset the Patriots. Everything we talked about earlier this week with PJ Glasser and all the stats and all of the
that stat of teams that are in the postseason in the wild card round that missed the previous year that are favored, and that's the Patriots. They're the only team in that category. Last 17 games are 1-16 against the spread.
That's right.
1-16. So I mean, right now it's the Patriots by 3.5, and you could have theoretically a 3-point Patriot win, and you would still add to that stat. But the point is that teams that go from 0 to 60 in the regular season, teams are bad. There's kind of steps in the process, and what you're indicating here is that for Jacksonville, this would be kind of skipping ahead in the process here for Liam Cohen.
It feels to me like this Jags team reminds me of last year's Broncos team in a way. Not entirely apples to apples because Bo Nix was a rookie. Trevor Lawrence, though, this does feel like he's a rookie, right? Like it's a new offense. He's playing out of his mind, but he's still prone to mistakes. Cole Bishop gets an interception on Sunday.
That's a pick.
Make a throw to the middle of the field and watch Cole Bishop make a play. I think Cole Bishop steps up. We've seen him make plays through the course of this season. He's somebody that we've needed to see step up, and he has an opportunity here. He did last year. I mean, wasn't he the leading tackler against the Chiefs in the championship game last year? I mean, Cole Bishop, postseason Cole Bishop, could be something special.
Well, he's the leading tackler on the Bills this season. People will be like, well, to me, that's not good because that just means, okay, we've had this kind of revolving door. You know, the news today, Bernard is going to be out, which is not a surprise.
Yeah.
But you don't have Shaq Thompson at 100% with that neck injury, but, hey, it's the playoffs. Get out there. Peter writing in. You can write us your predictions on X as well. I have the Bills winning 31-27. I'm trusting Alan McDermott. Chris in Kentucky writing in Bills 35, Jags 24. There you go. Like I'm saying, like, hey, make your prediction now. Like, don't call in on Monday. And if you want to tar and feather me, go ahead. I would gladly take that if the Bills go the other direction. I don't know. The vibes don't seem right this year for Buffalo.
What about the rest of the playoffs? Do you want to make your predictions for the rest of the games?
Well,
go game by game.
Can we start with the NFC? Because I think the NFC with your team, it's fascinating. And I think they get it done, Danger.
Oh.
I think the Bears, they're the better team this year. They're at home. I think they get it done. The game that has me all perplexed with the line, Eagles favored by 6 over San Francisco. This looks like a sucker bet, doesn't it? You would say, my gosh, if it's close, I win. But I think the 49ers will win outright. For that reason, if Vegas is pushing you in the direction to take the Niners, I'm going to take the Eagles in that one. It's weird because the Eagle defense can win that game single-handedly. The other game, Rams, Panthers, who cares? The Rams would win. So the seeds hold in the NFC. Unlike the AFC, let's say, if you're a Bills fan, you don't want that to happen. That would mean Rams and Seahawks and Eagles and Bears in the divisional round. Danger, your Bears can take out Philadelphia. The Rams could win in Seattle. You could theoretically have an NFC Championship game in Chicago.
You're trying to arouse me right now, Gino, and it's not working. I have to stay level-headed, calm, and focused. I have to try and be a professional here. I do like the Bears on Saturday night, and I do think the Rams are going to take care of business against the Panthers. I picked the Niners to go to the Super Bowl in the preseason. I can't go against my pick.
Yeah.
Can't go against my pick. I think the Niners are going to win. And if that happens, well, then that sets up for the Rams coming to Soldier Field in the divisional round with the Niners. No, I'm sorry. Is that right? No. It would be the Rams going to Seattle. Nope. I'm wrong. The Niners would go to Seattle. The Rams would go to Chicago
in the divisional round.
Right.
Do you agree with my opinion that line? Do you think that line is right? 49ers plus 6.
I think there's probably a lot of points going Philly's way due to the injuries. I just think the Niners' injuries are, if there's anything that's going to hold them back, it's that. I mean, but the crazy thing about this team and the job that Kyle Shanahan has done this year, fairly remarkable when you look at that defense and how beat up they've been, missing star players, important pieces, and on the offensive side of the ball as well. So I can't go against my preseason Super Bowl pick. I'll go with the Niners over the Eagles. Even though in my heart, I would love Philly to win so that they could come back to Soldier Field if the Bears take care of the Packers. What about the AFC?
Monday night, Texans and Steelers. That stat, 23 straight home Monday night wins for Pittsburgh, dating back to 1991.
Give me the Steelers. Give me the Steelers, Gino. I'm going Steelers.
Right?
I can't reverse that trend. I'm not going to reverse that trend. That's amazing.
It is unbelievable. That's the one where, like, okay, I'm diving in, and we talk about cold weather, warm weather teams coming up north. Is Houston ready for? Well, I guess they've been to Kansas City, and every time I saw that, it didn't fare well. So this has the look of this is going to be really ugly, and it's going to be mucked up, and exactly what Pittsburgh wants. I think the world is going to pick the Texans in this one based on our disdain for Aaron Rodgers. I think it's the Rodgers and the Steelers coming away with the win. The Chargers and the Patriots, you and I disagree on this one as much as I would love to see the Chargers win. But then again, I'm picking Jacksonville to win over Buffalo. I think the Patriots get this done. So that would mean you would have basically the seats also holding in the AFC. Danger, what do you see in the AFC playoff picture?
Quick, name a team that the Patriots beat this season with a winning record.
Pittsburgh. No, they lost to Pittsburgh. Buffalo.
Yes. They beat Buffalo
okay,
week
so,
5.
All right, here's the flaw because, ta-da, the NFC South had all losing records. And I remember the Patriots played the Giants, and that was also a team with a losing record. And since they had a last-place schedule, was Buffalo the only one? Was there another one?
No, you got it. It was one team, the Buffalo Bills. Give me the Chargers. Give me the Chargers on Sunday night.
Come on. Can you play San Diego
No,
Superchargers?
I don't have it anymore.
Oh.
It's missing. It's MIA. And it's not San Diego anymore. I don't even know. Do they have a fight song anymore? The Superchargers was too good. Too good. Yeah. Give me the Chargers. And I'll go with give me the Steelers. Give me the Chargers. And you already know my pick. I went with the Bills. Mia O'Brien covers the Jacksonville Jaguars. You hear her on ESPN Radio. Action Sports Jax, our insider for Jacksonville, joining us next, and we'll learn more about this matchup between the Jags and the Bills. You can pull up a stool and join us with your predictions for Sunday's action on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester, goodsmokebbq.com.
One app. Listen to The Fan Rochester everywhere you go. In the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps. The sports leader. The Fan Rochester. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Ruled out here for the wild card game for the Bills, Terrell Bernard and Maxwell Harrison. 4 players are questionable. Josh Palmer, Ty Johnson, Matt Prater, and middle linebacker Shaq Thompson. Deion Dawkins taking on the underdog role.
No. Aren't we the 6th seed? Nobody's talking about the Buffalo Bills. So I feel like, all the stress is not on our shoulders, the mindset is to win no matter what, right? Now we just need to be prom king and queen at the end. So, I like our team against anybody, so.
We'll preview the opponent, Jacksonville. Mia O'Brien joining us next year in the Sports Bar. Amherst hockey tonight here on the Fan. Laval coming into town. Our coverage will begin at 7 o'clock. RIT also home tonight. Robert Morris, the opponent. Of course, the other college football semifinal going on in Atlanta. Indiana facing Oregon in the Peach Bowl. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Yeah, steady hand, no pun intended, wide receiver room. No, he's a veteran, so, he's been there and done it, played a lot of football, has that experience, whether it's, games overall, playoff games. He's been a steady leader for us and a guy that's trusted in the building.
Bills head coach Sean McDermott heaping praise on wide receiver Gabe Davis. Makes his return to Jacksonville on Sunday afternoon as we welcome in Mia O'Brien. You can hear her on ESPN Radio. Action Sports, Jax, one of our favorites when we're talking Jags. Mia, it's always good to have you on with us. Really appreciate the time. I mean, Davis coming back to Jacksonville is one of just many different angles between these two teams. But more than anything, let's get caught up with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who come in as the 3 seed, an unbelievable season. Coaching matters, apparently. Liam Cohen turning things around there. Does it go beyond the coach and the coaching staff and the culture that they've built?
I think that about sums it up. And to be fair, they did bring in several free agents. They certainly went, what did James say? When we will go boldly, or when we go, whatever the line was when they made the move to trade up for Travis Hunter for number 2 overall in the NFL draft. But ultimately, this is largely the same roster from a season ago. At least the core of it is. And they just added a couple thermostats to a bunch of thermometers. It's raised the temperature. Certainly Liam Cohen is the hottest thermostat of them all. And here we are, a team that not only is playing with its hair on fire, but for the first time, you can go up to a player and say, tell me what a Jacksonville Jaguar is, and they can clearly articulate the DNA, the Duval DNA, and the type of player and the type of style in which the Jacksonville Jaguars want to play in moving forward.
Yeah, I remember talking to you before week 3 last season and Jacksonville, and you didn't have a good vibe on this team, and that ended up being right. And one takeaway I had from that game was, wow, Trevor Lawrence just doesn't look right. He's taking steps, and at the time he was really in a downward trend, and now I think you can say he's the hottest quarterback entering this postseason. Okay, Cohen being one reason, but what else? How has Lawrence now turned this around to look like a franchise quarterback?
I think that the Jaguars, after the midseason acquisition for Jacoby Myers, were able to finally run the offense that Cohen wanted to run. And to be fair, when he got to Tampa, he didn't want to run that predominantly 21 personnel, Bucky Irving as the featured back, with the tight end Cade Otton being a central figure type of offense. I mean, he thought he was going to run 4 verts, run a 5-out offense, and he'd be just hunky-dory with the tandem of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Then both those guys get hurt, and all of a sudden you have to adapt. And so it's not to say that Liam Cohen and this coaching staff weren't adapting, but they knew what type of scheme, what offensive philosophies would match Trevor's skill set best in their opinion. And until they made the move for Myers, who I had Jordan Rodriguez, the Athletic, on my podcast on the Action Sports Jacks network yesterday, and so that clip's on my social channels. I'm sure we'll plug it at the end. But Jordan said, and she's covered the Rams now for 5+ years, you need that one wide receiver that's going to be the turnkey to the rest of the offense, or as she says, the spine of the torso or the rib cage of the entire passing scheme. And that player is Myers, who never played for Sean McVay, but he might as well have been a Rams receiver in a former life because he's willing to go inside and outside. He'll do the dirty work underneath, those deep digs and deep curl routes that not every receiver is willing to do. You bring him into the offense, you're able to put Brian Thomas Jr. back at his natural position on the outside. Parker Washington is interchangeable at this point with Myers, not to mention some of the other wrinkles you have with Brenton Strange, the running backs in the passing game, et cetera, et cetera. And so Trevor's playing with a lot of confidence because, number one, his coach is instilling that confidence in him, verbatim telling him to just let it rip. I don't care if you turn the ball over. I just want to see you being confident. And that has paid dividends, but also when the operation around you is so sound, that has to lead you to be more confident in your game.
15 months ago, Mia, that was when the Bills beat Jacksonville on Monday Night Football 47-10. And I remember our conversation. You mentioned that Jags defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen was rotating guys in and out in every position on the defense. And I'm curious as to how things have changed. Two parts here. I'm curious as to how things have changed now with a defense that's really stout against the run. In fact, we're going to see strength on strength with the Bills running James Cook right into the teeth of that Jags defense. And then two, does Nielsen have any sort of advantage knowing and having the familiarity that he has with the personnel on this Jacksonville roster now as a senior defensive assistant here in Buffalo?
No, because they're all about 25 pounds lighter since Ryan Nielsen left them, and you can put that on the record. No disrespect to Ryan. I had immense respect for him when he was here. I know players in that locker room do as well. They echoed that to me today. So, no, I don't think he has some sort of advantage because I think you're seeing a lot of the same players that not necessarily Nielsen, but perhaps some others who were here in Jacksonville over the last few years, maybe some young players who they questioned the study habits, they questioned whether they got it. Well, Anthony Campanelli came in here, and he made it his goal to teach first and to teach his players the why. And whatever he's doing in preparing those young men, all of a sudden you're seeing these young 23, 24, 25-year-old defensive backs and Devin Lloyd, like, taking the next step in a way that we've waited 2-3 years for them to do. And so I think that what's so interesting with Campanelli's defense is that you really can't say, well, it's a Vic Fangio style or it's a Brian Flores style. They run zone, they run man. It's a little bit of everything, and that's what has made it one of the most complete defenses over the last 2 months in the league because you truly don't know what they're going to throw at you. If they have a deficiency, it's that they're sixth to last in sacks, but Josh Hines-Allen was second in the league in pressures this season. And so it's not like they're not affecting the quarterback, and the 22 interceptions tie for a league best, and when you consider they had 9 total takeaways last year, that's not including the fumble recoveries and other turnovers as well. You could argue that it doesn't really matter about the sacks. Now, to be fair, getting Josh Allen down on the ground is a point of emphasis. Containing him is too, and I think that that's what's made this Jaguars defense so good is there's just so many different ways you can skin a cat or succeed on defense.
22 interceptions, Danger. The Bills just coming off a team where they had 0 interceptions for the season, being the Jets. Mia O'Brien, our guest here in the Sports Bar. Mia, as far as protecting Trevor Lawrence. Now, the Bills, we've seen them, I would say, blitz a little more often this year and be a little more creative. It's not a ferocious pass rush for Buffalo, but they can get the job done, certainly. Tell me about Cole Van Lanen and his status, where even if he's out there, is he going to be at 100%? Will he be able to do the job?
Yeah, I don't want to speculate. I just saw Cole in the locker room. Obviously, he was on the practice field earlier today for the first time this week. In terms of the extent of the injury, I don't want to speculate on that. I was the one reporter that he told me on Sunday. Trainer said I can go ahead and walk on 2 feet through the locker room and talk to you, so I guess I'm good. And then we didn't see him on Wednesday and Thursday. So I can't speculate whether or not he'll be able to go. What I will tell you is not only has Cole Van Lanen played 4 of the 5 positions along the offensive line, started at 4 of those 5 positions this year, but Walker Little has been above average, stepping in at right guard the last 3 weeks with Patrick McCarry sidelines. McCarry can play all 5 positions. You couple Wyatt Milam, the rookie third-rounder out of West Virginia, who, yes, he hasn't started this year. He came in and played extensively against the Titans in Nashville when Little went down with a concussion injury. And he's a guy who played left tackle in college, but he's training at guard in the NFL. And so, point being, they're very confident in their depth and the fact that they have so many guys who can play so many different positions along the O-line, to the point that they keep bringing it up every time we talk to Liam Cohen or James Gladstone. They're like, you all thought we were crazy when we were moving dudes along, everywhere back in training camp and having this guy starting at this position in the preseason and that guy there and seeing snaps there. You thought we were nuts. The 2022 Rams season, I tell this to people all the time, it truly affected both of those individuals. Cohen, of course, was the offensive coordinator, and James was ascending to the role of director of scouting. And you can tell that the Rams post-Super Bowl just debacle of a season, which was rooted in offensive line injuries and not having depth, it has changed how they both approach the game from a roster construction and coaching standpoint. And so the Jags are confident, whether or not CBL can go, that they'll be able to have an offensive line that is more than capable of getting the job done. And to those who question, Walker Little at left tackle, where, yes, I know Danielle Hunter baptized him against the Houston Texans, who didn't get baptized by Danielle Hunter this year, I would encourage you to go check out Walker Little's performance in the 2022 wild card game against the Los Angeles Chargers and a guy by the name of Joey Bosa.
So, yeah, and we'll see Bosa on the field, of course, on Sunday as well. And you mentioned the depth and you mentioned the versatility, Mia. But what about the overall performance? I mean, can the Bills... Gene mentioned they're not a ferocious pass rush, but you do have Rousseau, you do have Bosa. They can affect the quarterback. How's the performance been? We know about the versatility now. We know about the depth. Have they been up to snuff?
Yeah, I think that they've been above average. I think that if you go 1 through 5, they're probably like a B-, which when you consider that in the NFL, and I tell people this all the time too, like, you don't have, like the Chiefs having both Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith having 2 Pro Bowlers on the same offensive line is very rare. Like, you're lucky if you've got 1. You can't expect to have 3 or 4, and that's just an unrealistic expectation and understanding of the league. So I think they've been above average. I think they've been more than okay in the run game, which I know is what, when people try to poke holes in the Jags, they haven't been able to run the ball the last few weeks. Well, that's because they haven't had to. Like, if the passing game's operating at the efficiency that it is, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we did see the Jaguars run the ball with that same offensive starting 5 on the line that I alluded to if Cole Van Lannon can't go earlier this year. I would also tell you that since the bye, so that was around week 10, Trevor Lawrence has been one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League against the blitz. I don't have the stat in front of me right now, but I know his completion percentage is more than 67%. And so he has turned it on. And you can go back and turn on the tape against the Cardinals, turn on the tape against the Titans, where they did try to blitz him, and it was dialed in. Like, no question, no fear. As soon as he saw the blitz coming, he immediately knew what spot to throw the ball to. And that was when we first started looking around and saying, this isn't the same old Trevor.
Yeah, I don't think you were on the Jags beat in the year 2021, but I would say that one of the grossest losses for the Buffalo Bills in the McDermott era was that 9-6.
Oh, I was here.
Oh, you were here.
Rest assured.
Okay.
I've been here since 2018. They told me I'd cover a Super Bowl team, and they won 5 games. But I've been here since 2018. So, yes, I was there.
Okay.
I was in the building for that one.
Good. Yeah, so, like, we call that the Urban Meyer game here because that's just embarrassing that you lost that game. And we realized this week, well, wait a second. Matthew Wright was the Jacksonville kicker in that game. So we're expecting perhaps Wright. Maybe it's Matt Prater. I mean, it's advantage Jacksonville. Tell me a little bit about Cam Little. Like at what point do they trust him? Let's say, barring the end of the first half or the end of the game here, like at what point are you saying, all right, 40-yard line, 50-yard line, Cam Little, what kind of advantage is that for Jacksonville?
It's a massive advantage. And I want you to go back now and search his name and go back to the month of October. Not that he was 0 for October, but that was when he was struggling mightily. And Liam Cohen stood by his 22-year-old kicker and said, nope, we're not bringing in any competition. There's no tryouts. Cam's going to go home over the break to Oklahoma, and he's going to get away from football, and he's going to come back, and we're going to be A-okay. And sure enough, not only did he come back and he was A-okay, he hit the NFL record 68-yarder the very next week, and he's been dialed in ever since. I think that in terms of it'll have to be time and place, to be fair, like end of game or at halftime, which is when he hit both the 68 and the 67-yarder this year, was right before the half. I think that naturally lends itself to an opportunity to maybe get a little crazy with it. But, I mean, you could look at his numbers from 60 to 65, which at this point in time with the K-balls, it's kind of become commonplace around the league that kickers are at least going to try in that range. And while the weather is going to drop about 20 degrees, it's not expected to be raining, at least not my last check of the forecast for the Jags. I mean, maybe that changes, but if the weather holds, I mean, he hit a 67-yarder last week, and the weather wasn't the 82 that it currently is. Sorry, I had to rub that in there. I think that a lot of it depends on time and place, but Liam Cohen has the utmost confidence in that young kicker.
It should be illegal, by the way. We have Bills beat reporters that are already down there doing the reports from the beach, and everybody here just wants to strangle them. Like, that should be against the law for you to even say the temperature down there when you're talking to us, Mia. The Bills, in recent weeks, have been better against the run. We know that through the course of the season, they could be had against the run. Travis Etienne is having a nice season, but the guy that I'm nervous about and the guy that I think could give the Bills defense problem, I want you to share a little bit more about Basil Tootin and what he might mean on Sunday.
Yeah, so I was talking to Basil today, my fellow Jersey guy. Third down back and fellow rookie LaQuint Allen is also a Jersey guy. So we have a lot of fun, the three of us, celebrating our heritage alongside defensive coordinator Anthony Campanelle and Josh Hines-Allen. Anywho, Basil, it's interesting because, and Liam Cohen's been very open about this, and certainly in some of the behind-the-scenes footage the Jaguars have showed on their in-house website and on their in-house YouTube channel, they drafted him with the thought of, we need that home run hitter, our Bucky Irving. Not only was Liam Cohen and James Gladstone interested in the Virginia Tech product services, so are the Los Angeles Rams. So I think that's a pretty good seal of approval, a stamp of approval, if you ask me. Basil was expected to be that change of pace home run hitter to complement Travis Etienne, and instead he's kind of taken on the role of being a short yardage down back, which I don't know if anyone anticipated him taking on that role. He did miss 2 weeks with a finger injury, fully healed from everything we can see. Liam Cohen did tell us on Wednesday that they're similar to Trevor, encouraging Basil to just let it rip in his own way in terms of you don't need to be running through the open field with two arms around the football. You're going to be okay. Get loose with it. Be loose. And I do think that there's some tricks up the sleeve of Liam Cohen, especially because we haven't seen a lot of 21 personnel since Tootin returned from that injury. And in terms of the sheer ability, I mean, whether it's a short yardage situation, I know the fantasy football community is happy to see him succeeding, but the Travis Etienne owners aren't happy because he has certainly been a thief when it comes to some of those touchdown numbers from Etienne. The dude looks like he got shot out of a cannon. It is that quick of a burst. And then I would also just add that Allen, well, yes, maybe not the same threat to run, but certainly in the pass-catching game as a third down back, that's one to circle. I'll just tell you, Quinn Allen is one to circle because he may be the most entertaining man on a football field. No one wants the smoke more than that young man who some folks in the building believe is already the best third down pass pro running back in the National Football League. He didn't turn 21 until this summer.
Mia, we've had more than one guest this week on with us say, hey, the winner of Buffalo-Jacksonville will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Would you agree with that? Because I just look at it from the Jacksonville side. All right, if you win this game in Jacksonville, you've got, if the seats hold New England, which isn't tough, or maybe ultimately Denver, and you just pasted Denver here. So your thoughts, is that true or false? The winner, this is the best matchup here in the wild card round. Winner of this game would be the best bet to represent the AFC.
Yeah, I hate to give you the same answer, but that's the answer I've been running with, and I've been telling anyone and everyone, and I truly believe it, because it either comes down to Jacksonville truly is the most well-rounded team in the field, like many national analysts are now picking up on, or Josh Allen is about to go on a generational heater and lead the Bills to the Super Bowl. It's one or the other, in my opinion. That's with no disrespect to Drake May, Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, but these are the two best quarterbacks, in my opinion, in the AFC right now, although May end up winning the MVP award. These are the two best quarterbacks over the last month and a half, even with Josh Allen fighting that injury, and the two that could go nuclear at any given moment. And so that's why in the postseason, I have to ride with whoever wins this one, yes, will be the AFC representative in Santa Clara in a month and a half.
Speaking of injuries, Mia, we didn't get a chance to ask you about Travis Hunter this season. I mean, there's been a lot that led up to him getting on the field, and, of course, a disappointing end with the injury. But talk to us a little bit about the enthusiasm and excitement around this two-way player, the way he was drafted, what you had to give up to get him, and the impact that he made in the short amount of time that he was on the field earlier this season.
Yep, the expectation is Travis will be ready for off-season activities in the spring. He continues to progress in his recovery. I was told this week he's doing great, and so the hope is that he continues to do great in the recovery from what was described to me by multiple people who saw it with their own two eyes as truly a freak injury during a Thursday practice right before that Week 10 matchup with the Raiders before Halloween. Surprise, trick or treat, Travis Hunter's done for the year, LOL, that was a lot of fun. Not. But no, he's the type of electric personality, too, where I think that not even just the ability on the field in an open space, whether that's as a wide receiver or a defensive back, he changes the math, as James Gladstone likes to say. But even on the practice field, you just see the joy that he brings to his entire team and the juice, which is what the Jaguars needed. Again, that notion about thermostats over thermometers has been a pretty popular talking point in these parts. But one that I love, and Travis, when I asked him about it, at his locker, he was almost taken aback by it. I love that during during practice, when they're stretching at the start of practice, Travis, for every stretching motion that he does, he moves around. And so he'll do standing stretches with the offensive lineman. Then he'll do down on the ground with the defensive lineman. And then he'll go over to the tight ends. And he tries to, in his words, touch each of his teammates because he wants to get to know, obviously, all of them, but he also wants them to know that they matter to him. And that was something I had never seen before. DJ Dallas, the local product, who's now the fourth running back for the Jags, actually does something similar. And he said for him it stems from when he was in Pee Wee playing quarterback, and it was really just reinforced to him hey, you need to make a conscious effort to get to know everyone as a little sixth grader. And so I thought it was interesting that, that's Travis's approach, as a team-first guy. And you can see why he was number one on the Jaguars draft board. I mean, people sometimes say, I broke it. I did not break that. I just kind of I've talked to James about it. We were just telep because I came home from the gym that Monday before the draft, and I looked at my fiance and I said, honestly, I know he's the number one player on their board. There's a sizable gap between him, Ashton Genty, and Tet McMillan. He's the most intangibly rich guy there is. Just do it. And he was like, you have to sell the house for it. And I was like, okay, who cares? And they didn't have to sell the house. And now that draft pick that will be conveyed to the Cleveland Browns, needless to say, will not be the top 10 pick that some perhaps thought it would be when the Jaguars moved up for Hunter back in April.
Mia, last one for me, and it's just I should know this. I don't. I know Duval is the county. I know the chain. What's the origin of that?
Good question. In light of who will be doing the first Duval, I actually don't know when it really started as a chant among the fan base. Obviously, it's synonymous with Jacksonville because it is the county and it is the largest county in the continental United States. I think we're the only city too that the entire city is one county, and so that's kind of why it goes hand in hand. But Mike Peterson, the Jaguars linebacker back in the early 2000s, who's been a coach with both Florida and South Carolina over the last 5 years, is going to do the first Duval before the game, and he also cut a couple different videos for the team. But you go back to a Monday night game back when Mike Pete was playing, he actually, that was when I think the national scene first heard the word Duval. He did the intros, if you guys remember, on Monday Night Football, where one player would introduce the whole team. And so he came on screen and he said, welcome to Duval, prepare to be hit. So a lot of folks here in Jacksonville are hoping that we get that same line from Mike Pete's Sunday pregame before the Jags and the Bills kick it off.
Mia, tell us about what you've been working on. Where can we get more of your work? It's always great following along with what you're putting out there in Jacksonville, and we really appreciate you giving us time.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. No questions about London either, which I really like. I was a little upset. First things first, brought it up yesterday. I'm like, stop taking shots for no reason. They just invested a ton of money in a new stadium, but what do I know? Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Mia O'Brien TV. That's the best place to know up to the minute where I'm at because I'm in my initial year with ESPN, so my shows are kind of all over the place. But I'm having a ton of fun, especially doing game night with my friend Q Myers from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m., and then sometimes I'll fill in for Amber and Ian as well from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern. So that's been a ton of fun. You can also follow for all of my Jaguars insider notes. You can follow the O'Brien NFL Notebook. That's just my personal Patreon website. Free 7-day trial for you Bills fans. Memberships start at $5 per month. I also am hosting Jaguars content for our local CBS affiliate here, both online and soon to be at some point in time on television. My return at some point. That's Action Sports Jacks. I also co-host Locked On Jaguars, do their squad show 2 days a week. And if you're into women's basketball, I also do co-host the Women's Basketball Podcast once a week with Mitch Northam, OG Triangle Media. I teach at UNF, too. So if you also want to talk leadership, just hit me up. And I'd be more than happy to discuss leadership theory and curriculum.
I want you to send a course on how young journalists and young media professionals can put together a demo as good as you've put together through the years. I've watched you over the course of time, and I use it as an example for young people that want to get into this industry all the time. I'm like, look at this demo. It's 2.5 minutes long or however long it is, but you feel like you've watched 40 minutes of content. That's talent.
I appreciate that. It's the problem is once you do it once, you got to keep reaching that same bar. And
That's right.
So, not going to lie, I've kind of been stuck on trying to do an updated one. The last I started it back in like June, and then I put it off to the side. And then someone else needed me to cut another reel of some specific NFL stuff. Then I needed a play-by-play reel. So that one's still on the back burner, but that's all right. We got a lot of cool stuff from the fall, and maybe even in a playoff run ahead that I can incorporate into that next version. Appreciate you, though, mentioning that, and I appreciate you using me as an example. That means a lot.
Mia, be well. Appreciate the time, and let's do this again sometime.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great weekend.
Take care, Mia. That is how do you know Mia's a hustler? When we ask people, at the end of our conversation, hey, what are you working on? What's going on? Where can we get more of your content? Usually it's 1 or 2 things. She's got 8 things going on.
Well, usually the Locked On person just kind of does Locked On,
Yeah.
and that was number 4 on her list. So
Yeah, she's a little bit of a hustler. She's working a little bit down there.
But that's, what's a good example, though, too? She's from Jersey. Go to a market that,
Just
might
work,
have opportunity.
Man. Just show
go
up
where
and
the work is.
Show up and say yes. I mean, especially, look, if there's anybody listening who has somebody young in your life that wants to be an aspiring broadcaster or get into media or something like that, 80 to 90% of success in this field, show up and say yes. That's it. Show up and say yes. If you do that, you're going to have doors open for you. It's crazy. And Mia is awesome. This week, she's the enemy. But great insight out of Jacksonville. And they're feeling pretty good about themselves.
They're loose, but do they tighten up? That's the question. They can say all the right stuff right now.
I struggle with the idea of McDermott losing to Cohen.
Why?
I struggle with the idea that a first-year head coach is going to get over on a guy who's won the AFC East and guy who's made it to the AFC Championship.
Sometimes it doesn't matter about the coaching. It's the fact that they're going to run these 3 wide.
If it doesn't matter about the coaching, then the same personnel that was on the field 20 pounds heavier should absolutely get throttled by the Bills 47-10. I need to change my prediction if coaching doesn't matter. But it's a hard thing for me to envision. But Mia lays out a pretty good case there, and things at least appear to be moving in the right direction for the Jags once again after a few years of serious dysfunction. And I don't know, I mean, what would the genesis of that dysfunction be? It's a hard thing to put your finger on, but maybe it starts at the top.
We're not there yet. We still got a couple of days going through. Coach and I haven't sat down and gone through the final board yet. We'll do that on Monday.
I wonder if Mia was at that press conference and the look of horror that might have been on her face. That's the GM of an NFL franchise, letting one rip mid-sentence.
Pausing, knowing it's coming, and then, excuse me, and just continuing on as if I just sneezed.
Yeah. Unflappable. Amazing. Trent Baalke. And amazing that, Cohen's like, let me just wait a second before I say yes to taking this job. Is that the guy that I got to work with? Because if that's the guy I got to work with, I have other options. That turned out to work out okay for the Jags. You have that alignment between GM and head coach, and usually things work out. DA, Damon Amendolara.
Oh, it's we're saving, I don't want to, we've had great guests, but this is the way to finish up with our guest lineup this week, DA.
Yeah, the host of the Bill Maddock podcast. He's going to join us here in the 4 o'clock hour. We want your predictions. Bills, Jags, 866-4326. Share it with us, 585-866-4FAN.
You're listening to the Sports. Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Terrell Bernard not playing in this wild card game. Maxwell Harrison, we already knew was out. 4 players are questionable. Josh Palmer, Ty Johnson, Matt Prater, and Shaq Thompson. Prater did not practice today. Cam Lewis on how Jacoby Myers fits in with that Jacksonville offense.
Like the same thing he was doing in New England when he was there. He's very crafty, intermediate route runner. But, Taryn faced him a lot, over his career. So I feel like it'd be a good matchup for him. But I feel like, we match up pretty good against him. Should be a fun game, though. We just need to create some turnovers, get our offense the ball back, some short fields, and let them play ball.
Damon Amendolara from the Bill Maddock podcast joins us later this hour. Amherst hockey tonight. They're home against Laval. Our coverage will begin at 7 o'clock. RIT also home tonight. Robert Morris, the opponent. Indiana and Oregon in the Peach Bowl in the college football semifinal. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
So last night was fantastic. You get the first of the 2 college football playoff semifinal games. The U getting over on Ole Miss. Just an unbelievably exciting and entertaining game. And tonight we have the second semifinal. This is all leading up to an unbelievable weekend of NFL football that we'll have, of course, starting tomorrow afternoon in Carolina. Welcome back into the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. We're glad you're with us. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. Thanks for checking us out in the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn apps if you're mobile or on your smart device. When you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan, you can even find us on YouTube and Twitch. Our stream is up and live, always rolling from 3 to 6 on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester.
We have DA coming up at the bottom of the hour, so plenty of Bills talk. We have time for your calls at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Vince Scully retired from broadcasting at the age of 88. That was back in 2016. Now, wasn't doing this nationally, just doing it for Los Angeles. And at that point, it was okay if, something came off the fastball. It's a little different. Al Michaels still giving it a go. And today, Amazon saying Al will be back next year. He'll be 82, turning 82 next season.
Do you get the sense? I mean, he doesn't. I know that he's not what he once was, but I don't listen to an Al called game and think to myself, well, he's just not good enough. He's still good enough, but I want him to be a little bit more enthusiastic, which I don't know that he's capable of doing now at this age that he's been doing it as long.
Yeah, getting up for the call, you mean, yeah.
Yes. And then there's moments where he gets a little cranky. Like the cranky Al, I don't know if that's been coached out of him since he's been over there at Amazon. But, we used to play the clip of him. Oh, this was the one, the Rams house, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
It's hard to tell what the crowd is right now. I think mainly Raiders a little bit. But you have a PA announcer here who incessantly screams whose house. And he wants them to say, no, I hate it. He wants them to say Rams house. But as far as the Raiders are concerned, well, this is kind of like their Airbnb.
No, I hate it. I mean, your partner's positive, oh, I think it's great. I love it. Kirk, I hate it. It sucks. Yeah, that I could do without. But he's still the GOAT, man. That's, you brought up Vince Scully. I mean, everybody views Vince Scully as the GOAT, right? Nobody called a better game than Vince Scully. I would say Al is that guy.
All right,
he's that dude.
All right, well, check back with me on Monday.
Yeah.
For folks who don't know, he's getting the one-time tap as he did. He's calling the game coming up, along with Herb Street coming up. That's the only playoff game they get. Packers-Bears coming up Saturday night.
That's right. Yep. Other news and notes from around the NFL. Well, let's start with the Bills injury report. You mentioned in your sports update, Gino, and just wanted to make sure everybody knew what was up. Terrell Bernard is going to be out. Hairston is going to be out. Damar Hamlin needs to be activated off of IR, but he is also out for this matchup. Questionable tags on Ty Johnson, who was limited in today's session. Josh Palmer is questionable, even though he did not participate in today's session. Matt Prater Didn't kick today, but was full yesterday. He is questionable, as is Shaq Thompson, who was limited in today's practice.
Okay, so let's go with the guess who the Bills will trot out at wide receiver. And this is my fear, Danger. And Monday we will have Jeremy White coming in along with Nate Geary on the show to talk about what you would hope for Bills fans would be a win. But obviously you'll have Shakir out there. But who else at the wide receiver position in this game? Cooks, I think, it addresses, right,
Yep.
after they held him out. Then that leaves you with Coleman. Do they put up perhaps – I don't know if they go with Palmer in this game.
Davis.
Yeah, Davis.
Davis is a lock. You got to play Davis against his former team. A revenge game. Gabe Davis revenge game. Absolutely. Shavers. And you got your 5, Coleman.
Do you go with McCole Hardman?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm. Too much on the line. Nope. Put Khalil back there.
Coleman, how many targets does he get, though? Feels like wide receiver 4 in this game, does he not?
I wouldn't be shocked if Coleman has a nice game. I mean, the Jets were a nice little recipe for those guys because it gave them a little bit of swagger and confidence back.
There was one play for Coleman where he's so open and he's focused on catching the ball, which first and foremost. But it's almost like he's waiting to get hit. And then he turns around and realizes, oh, I can turn it upfield. It was that split second that made me think, okay, he's still not comfortable in his own skin. Like, you catch the ball, you turn and go. It doesn't matter who's around you. That was an odd play to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's been instances where you could view Coleman and be like, he's just soft. I don't know if he's the dude, and I'll listen to that. But both he and Davis playing in a meaningless game. Well, it wasn't meaningless. It was the final game at the Ralph. But the idea that they were playing a JV squad, but they were able to kind of get some stats, and I kind of like that play. And I think both of those guys are out on the field. But it is scary to think that Brandon Cooks is your wide receiver 1. I mean, Shakir might get the most volume, the most targets out of all of them. Shakir and Dalton Kincaid. But yeah, I would go with Shavers. I would go with Gabe Davis. I'd go with Keon Coleman.
I think it's the tight ends here. I think it's the tight ends and Shakir, kind of, and James Cook as a
out of the backfield. Like Ty Johnson in a walking booth this week, even if he's out there. Okay,
I don't know what he can do in terms of cuts and everything else, and maybe it's just they're really, really being cautious. I want to just kind of bring up one thing that because I didn't realize this, like there was actually talk in Jacksonville about Cam Lillard. Look up his stats. I'm like, oh my gosh. If they were talking about going with a different kicker in midseason, Danger, he missed one from 40-49 in a loss to San Francisco. Fine against Kansas City, made all of his kicks in a win. Against Seattle, he missed from 50-plus, and he missed an extra point. And against the Rams, he missed from 50-plus, but made his extra point. So really what I'm talking about here is 3 missed field goals and 1 missed extra point over the course of 4 weeks, and they were talking about maybe changing the kicker.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said no, and then, well, he's been on this heater ever since here, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, the headline with him is the leg. I mean, the leg strength. The guy can boot it from – I mean, we're going to see a 70-yard field goal as soon as maybe this weekend. I mean, the guy is – from distance is ridiculous, but like every kicker, I mean, there are head cases up and down, and you can miss a few, and now you're in the tank.
Well, that's where, like, with these new kickoff rules, like, you can't just have Wright or whoever booting it. Okay, Jacksonville, take it at the 35. You really have to do everything you can to make sure you get a return, because if you put them at the 35, theoretically, it's 1 first down and we're in field goal range. Ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, that's an advantage. That's a special teams advantage if he can remain consistent. And the middle of the season, he was inconsistent, but he's been better since.
He hasn't missed a field goal since that Rams game on October 19th.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah, if you want to point to areas where Jags have a clear advantage, that would be one. I mean, that's a massive gap in talent between what the Bills will be trotting out in the kicking game. But I like everything else. I mean, I don't necessarily think this is a bad matchup for the Bills. I think you could see McDermott try to muck this up a little bit and hope that it's Jacksonville that makes the first mistake.
Well, my hope would be, all right, you saw what Buffalo did against the Steelers defense. You're not going to get it to that extent, but Jacksonville, like, who have they faced in terms of a running game of this caliber? It's funny, when we talk about great running backs in this league, nobody really brings up James Cook. We talk about Robinson. We talk about other guys. But to me, this would be all right, is this Jacksonville run defense for real? If they stop Buffalo's run danger, like me said, they are a complete team. I am falling into that. Whoever wins this game will represent the AFC.
Yeah, I'll buy into that as well. And when you look down the stretch at who they beat and who they lost to through the course of the season, you get a pretty good sense that this team, Jacksonville, and New England, I mean, lots of losing records on this schedule. They don't have to apologize for it. They beat up on Denver, too, by the way, in Denver, which is a nice win for them down the stretch. But before that, it was the Colts and the Titans and the Cardinals.
Well,
they lost to the Texans.
They beat the crap out of the Chargers, 35-6.
They beat the Chargers.
Yeah.
They did beat the Chargers at home. So, I don't know that I'm not going to say that their schedule was as soft as New England's was. It wasn't. And they deserve that 3 seed. They're playing really well. But to your point, they haven't played a run game like the Buffalo Bills have. Jonathan Taylor? Okay. I mean, I suppose.
Who's quarterbacking at that point?
Right. It was Phillip Rivers.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, you could kind of sell out to stop the run game and force Phillip Rivers to try and beat you. And they barely won that one. That was a 23-17, right? To eliminate the Colts and Phillip Rivers' comeback. But it'll be fun. It'll be interesting. We'll have the action for you here on the Fan Rochester. This early action, pregame coverage starting at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, because those idiots in Belleville scheduled a game at 3 o'clock on a football Sunday. Yeah, this is me, Gene, that called the idiots in Belleville. Yeah.
Amerks hockey tonight, by the way, Laval at the Blue Cross Arena.
Which first place team?
Uh-huh.
Right, you're looking for something fun to do tonight. You can go to hockey tonight, and I would think still taking the majority of the second half, whether that's the Amerks or IT.
That's what I did last night, man. I'm flipping between the Sabres and the college football semifinal. And by the way, the Sabres getting the win at Madison Square Garden last night. Samuelson with just an impossible angle goal, shorthanded, and that kind of cemented it. It was tight in the third period. It was entertaining. The Sabres can continue to win, and it's been kind of fun. And you got RIT tonight as well. I mean, we got a lot of action tonight.
This will be fun. Yeah, look, this is, you said next weekend, I say this weekend, but regardless, these next 2 weeks, really fun on the sports calendar.
DA, Damon Amendolara, host of the Bill Maddock podcast, stopping by the sports bar next, and we'll preview Bills Jacksonville here on The Fan.
You're listening Sports Update.
Bills rolling out Terrell Bernard and Maxwell Hairston. 4 players are questionable. Josh Palmer, Ty Johnson, Shaq Thompson, and Matt Prater. Prater did not practice today. Deion Dawkins taking the underdog role.
No. Aren't we the 6th seed? Nobody's talking about the Buffalo Bills. So I feel like, all the stress is not on our shoulders. The mindset is to win no matter what, right? Now we just need to be prom king and queen at the end. So, I like our team against anybody, so.
Damon Amendolara from the Bill Maddock podcast joining us next year in the Sports Bar. Amerks hosting Laval tonight. Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks with the call beginning at 7. RIT also home tonight. Robert Morris is the opponent. College football semifinal tonight. Indiana facing Oregon in the Peach Bowl. Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Pull up a stool and join us. 585-866-4FAN. 866-4326. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Good addition, and not just physically, but also his presence. He's been around the league for quite some time, and he's got great experience, yet at the same time, great energy. For a player, to your point, Joe, of not being here all that long, he has a certain level of leadership that he brings to the table because of his presence and the way he approaches every day at practice and every day in our building here. So he's been a good addition.
As Buffalo Bills head coach Sean McDermott pumping the tires up of Brandon Cooks. We'll see if he's able to stretch the field in Jacksonville come Sunday as the Bills and the Jags face off Super Wild Card Weekend. As we try to connect with DA, Damon Amendolara, host of the Bill Maddock podcast. We'll get his thoughts on this matchup. Happy hour still on the way as well, and we'll have time for your calls shortly at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
I wonder how much, what percentage you think is going to be Buffalo tomorrow. 2017 was different because that was breaking the drought, and oh my gosh, a playoff game. And then, what was the at the time, 30 to 40% was Buffalo?
I don't know if it's going to be that high, to be honest. I think that the Jags and Jags fans know that this is different. This is them as the 3 seed, and I think they're going to be less. I think they're going to be more reluctant to get rid of their tickets on the secondary market, especially to a Bills fan. But I could be wrong on that. But if it was 30% back in that debacle with Tyrod back then, I would say
20,
15 to 20.
Yeah,
they'll show up because they always do. As we welcome in DA, Damon Amendolara, the Bill Maddock podcast. Hope you had a great holiday season, bud. We are ready for playoff football, and I think everybody's looking at this saying, "Well, this is the worst possible matchup for the Buffalo Bills." And I guess I've been countering that all week with DA. I've been saying, every matchup this postseason is going to feel like this because, as we've been saying all season long, the AFC is wide open. Who's good?
Yeah, I think the one draw that would have felt beneficial is if they got to the 5 seed and played the 4, which would have ended up being Pittsburgh, because they'd gone there already and won pretty convincingly in the second half. Steelers struggled to move the football. Now, granted, it was without DK Metcalf the last couple of weeks, but I think that would have felt like, okay, not a breather, but easiest path start to the wild card win. All right, that's you would figure the Bills to win that game. This one is really a toss-up. The line suggests it. The fact that the Jaguars have played so well down the stretch suggests it. The fact that the Jaguars have a really impressive road victory in Denver a couple of weeks ago. The fact that the offense and the defense complement one another. The fact that Trevor Lawrence has really had a phenomenal last 2 months of the season. And all of that is, I think, the reality that for the Bills, they're going to have to play 3 really good playoff teams. They don't get 2 if they get to a Super Bowl like a breather in the wild card round. They got to play 3 of them. So that begins this weekend. But ultimately, big picture, if you're going to get to a Super Bowl, it takes beating good football teams, and you can't expect, if you're a wild card, to not have to do that.
DA, it's like we have these recurring themes with what didn't happen with Buffalo this year, and these are my fears here, and tell me if I'm, if I should just kind of let this go here. But I look at Jacksonville's passing attack, and I look at Jacoby Myers. I'm like, oh my gosh. oh, wait, there's no Maxwell Harrison. Dane Jackson is going to be corner 3 in this game. Wouldn't it be nice to have Darius Slay? Oh, that's right, we didn't vet that out. Or maybe on the other end here, like there are a lot of things you could certainly worry about on this Buffalo team when it comes to Jacksonville. Your thoughts on what this means in terms of the pressure involved, not just for Sean McDermott, but also for Brandon Beane?
Well, it's interesting. I did a long-form playoff preview for my Bill Maddock podcast yesterday with Tyler Dunn, who covered the Bills for years and now runs an independent football website, Go Long, and he wrote for Bleacher Report. He's a tremendous NFL insider. And we were discussing where the pressure is, because I think there's this convenient narrative online and maybe among some national media people that there's so much pressure on Josh Allen because Mahomes isn't there, Lamar isn't there, then Burrow isn't there, that he's got to take advantage of it. And both Tyler and I seem to agree that the pressure is actually not on Josh, because Josh always seems to perform well even in losses in the playoffs. The pressure is really on McDermott and the defense. And the defense, it comes down to Brandon Beane. I think that's where there has been a rubber hits the road reality this year, is that Beane did try in the offseason to, reboot, recalibrate the defense, bringing in Bosa, drafting Hairston, other draft picks as well. And because of injury, because of lack of effectiveness, because of whatever, there's been a lot of lulls on that defense over the course of the season. So I think Beane's roster construction is under the heat lamp, but something that Tyler and I also talked about, and this episode's available right now on YouTube if you just search my name, and that is it guaranteed that McDermott comes back no matter what happens on Sunday? And he does not think so. He does not think that this is a certainty no matter what happens. And so I think there is monster pressure on Beane, monster pressure on McDermott, and a bad loss, an ugly loss, a poor exit, perhaps does shake up how things are run over at One Bills Drive.
Interesting. We talked to Ty yesterday as well, DA, and we had a similar conversation. And I guess if things go poorly and we're playing the blame assessment game on Monday afternoon, how much of that blame is going on Brandon Beane? Are they still a package deal? Does the Harbaugh firing in Baltimore put a little bit extra added heat on a guy like Sean McDermott? I mean, do these guys, are they a package deal? And it seems in recent weeks that there's been some subtle jabs taken by McDermott in the media towards how this roster has been constructed towards Beane. I mean, for me, Brandon Beane is the guy that would get the majority of the blame if we're playing that game on Monday and it goes poorly this weekend.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on how it goes, because if there is a 13-second situation, and of course this is so Bills that we're talking about worst-case scenarios, what happens if they lose, but if it's a coaching blunder, if it's something that's kind of like very alarming from a schematic standpoint, if they fall behind 21-0 and can't catch up, then I think, you start looking at the coach and why those things always seem to happen. But I do agree. First of all, I don't think they're a package deal, because I think we've seen a divide between them with some of those points that McDermott has made publicly, both after the trade deadline and then, this week. I don't think they're a package deal. And I also think that Beane deserves plenty of his blame here, because they have tried a couple of different ways to complement Josh, and they've tried a couple of different solutions at wide receiver, and they've drafted a couple of different solutions on defense. But at the moment, this is still a wild card team and a 6 seed. So we'll see how this unfolds. Let's try to be glass half full here, and they come out with a 31-17 victory, and everything is okay. But I think there's got to be, even if there isn't massive change, there's got to be a reflection, if they don't pull it out on Sunday, of what happened this year, because expectations was Super Bowl and the path opened up in front of you to do so.
DA, our guest, the Bill Maddock podcast, which kind of ties in the Super Bowl era and everything with the closing of Highmark Stadium to where we are now. And DA, if I can kind of draw like a comparison, that last Super Bowl team, they were actually leading at halftime in the Georgia Dome against the Cowboys. And then Thurman Thomas fumbles. One mistake, and everything kind of fell apart there, and it ends up being a big loss for Buffalo. Mental toughness for this Bills team here, because there's going to be times of adversity here. I think Josh is okay in that department, but how about the rest of the team when it comes to what is required here in the postseason?
So this is, I think, the most fascinating part of the 2025 Buffalo Bills, because at times they can trail by 21 points in Foxborough and not blink. They can go toe for toe with the Bengals in the fourth quarter, with the Buccaneers in the second half. They have the Chiefs at home and they knock them around. There are moments this year that undoubtedly the Buffalo Bills stared adversity in the face and said, we got this. And that's really impressive. And then there are moments that they did blink, and it hasn't been a through line. That, when they were getting knocked around by the Houston Texans, it was a little deer in headlights. When they lost to the Falcons, that is kind of an alarming, whoa, what's going on here? Why aren't we winning this game? When they lost to the Patriots earlier in the season, I think there was a bit of a stunning what just happened. And so how they perform on Sunday and hopefully beyond is really the indicator of whether this team was tough enough mentally or kind of showed us who they were throughout the season. I'd like to think that they are tough enough mentally, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because of the injuries. They just have not had a full complement of their A-list guys for the entire season. It's going to happen again on Sunday. I mean, you mentioned Malik Hairston, Terrell Bernard is on this injury report, DeMar Hamlin's on the injury report. Of course, he's limited in his effectiveness, but still, we're into January, and it just never came around for them. So they've been able to survive enough. I mean, the three of us have talked about this each and every week, and if you would have just thought about the narratives of our conversations, you would think the season kind of has stunk. They got 12 wins,
Yeah.
right? So you turn around, you blink, they got 12 wins this season. So you have to give them credit, but really nothing has mattered until today. Nothing matters this season until Sunday.
It's so funny. I really think we are spoiled, right? Like, we lived through this drought era of just bad Buffalo Bills football, made people so frustrated and angry and just complacent on the team. And now we have a 12-win team, and we're talking about how we can't wait for the coach to lose his job, or a top 5 offense. And when's the OC gonna leave so we can actually get the most out of our quarterback? It's crazy to me. We'll see strength on strength, and I think Joe Brady is probably doing exactly what Sean McDermott wants by running the football as much as the Bills have this season. They have the best rushing attack in the NFL going into the postseason. Jacksonville has the best rushing defense. What gives? And when you talk about the health of this team, one thing we know going into this game, at least from an injury report standpoint, Bills' offensive line is healthy.
I think this has been the program. This has been the long-term plan strategy since day one. It was, we don't want to get into January, which is the only thing that matters around here, and need Josh to put up 4 touchdowns. We have to have a different way to beat teams. And so the fact that James Cook became what he did last season, I think they came into this year going, we just have to mandate that run of the football is more important than anything else. And there were times this year where I think you could see them really kind of in the lab saying, even if this isn't the best thing right now for us this week, we have to establish this for long-term success. I think that's been that has been a through line the entire year. So the hope here is that the Bills, healthy offensive line, as you say, hopefully a healthy Josh and James Cook are able to control some clock, get some points on the ground, move the chains, and knock it into a shootout. Because we know that, the back and forth when you have to play in the 30s or whatnot is not going to help anybody out. So I think that's been a big part of where the Bills want to be. And I also think that's predicated on not falling behind early. And this has been a bugaboo the entire season. But it can't be 17-3 at the half. It can't be 21-10. You have to be able to be within a score when it becomes winning time at the end so that you can use James Cook. And, they've been flirting with that disaster for a while where, how late does it get before you start turning on the Jets? They've made great adjustments at halftime, but you just don't want to have to play that game, especially in the playoffs against. This is a really good team. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. They are not a traditional power, so people might not realize it. The Jaguars, you can make the argument, are the best team right now in the AFC. I don't think it's crazy to think that at this moment, considering they beat the 1 seed in their building pretty badly.
DA, if it comes down to a kick at the end, all right, Jacksonville has one of, if not the best in terms of a leg right now in the league. What do you do at Buffalo just to fill everybody in? Matt Prater, questionable, practiced yesterday, didn't practice today, which is not unusual, but still a lot of smoke around there. They can't go with Prater, can they, after that? Or do you do the unthinkable and you actually have 2 kickers active on the 53-man roster?
You probably don't have 2 kickers active, but I think it depends on what Prater tells you. Okay, here's my range with this injury. If his range is 45 yards, then I don't think you're going to risk that. If he still feels like he can get it done from 50, I think maybe you're able to risk it a little bit. But I'm glad you brought up this storyline. Again, kickers and their injuries and their statuses are not usually a headline when it comes to playoff games and significant injury report news. This one is. It really is because, as you said, the Jaguars have a weapon. I mean, they drilled a 67-yarder to end the half last week. You never want to have to worry about this coming down to a final kick, and the guy on the other side of the field can drill a 67-yarder. So it's a significant part of this equation, and that's why I think, it's going to have to be hard because it's the Bills. It just always has to be hard because it's the Bills. But this does tend to have a lot of agita involved in a wild card round. There is no breather for the Bills in this postseason.
DA, before we talk about the rest of the postseason here with you, I wanted to get your take on what we all were a part of last week in Orchard Park, the final home game for the Buffalo Bills at Highmark Stadium. We know that Bill Maddock has been kind of centered around it being the final season there in Orchard Park before they move across the street to New Highmark Stadium. What was your observation from last Sunday?
I wish I could have been there. We were out of town for the holidays, and so we got back right after the New Year, and it was going to be just too tough of a turnaround within a day to get up there. But I really wish I could have been there because I just thought it was storybook. And I mean, I don't congratulate or thank Roger Goodell often, but scheduling the Jets to close down Highmark Stadium was just perfect. Thank you to the NFL for allowing homecoming to happen because you wouldn't want a tight game there. You wouldn't want it to come down to the wire. You just want that to be a blowout like homecoming in the first half, and the Jets could provide that. So that was very nice. But from the ceremony and the video board and the Goo Goo Dolls and the montages and how CBS handled it and how the pregame was and ESPN's montage, I just thought it was honoring more than the stadium. It was honoring the community and the fan base. And that's what I've felt most strongly about the last couple of years as I've really kind of connected to the Bills fan base from New York City. I got friends that live in Buffalo, and so I've gone up for games the last 4 years and then started this Bill Maddock podcast. But, part of it was that Highmark was closing, but part of it is I just think this fan base is unique and really what we all strive and appreciate for in professional sports is that a team brings a community together as one, and they become a family. And Highmark was kind of the excuse because people have been going there for generations, but it doesn't end because the stadium's going. It just kind of moves across the parking lot. But it gave an excuse to honor the fact that this city and this region and this community come together on Sundays and have forever. And this was their church. This was their community ball field. This was, the rec center. That just happened to be where they always come. And I thought it was really cool that it was almost a salute more to the soul of the fan base than it was the success of the stadium. Of course, there's the Super Bowl teams of the 90s, and of course, there's the snow, the Blizzard games and the Josh moments and all that. But really, it was less to me about the building because the building is there, but it's not like it's, Lambeau or this cherished piece of territory. It's not Fenway. It's not Wrigley. It just happens to be the place that the community came together for so many years. So I thought it was an honoring of that, and that was awesome. And I thought, at least from afar, I really wish I could have been there because everybody that I talked to that was there said it was the greatest game they've ever been to. And that says something when it was a blowout in the second quarter. When the game is over in the second quarter is the best game you've ever been to, that says a lot.
Yeah, you're spot on because that stadium, DA, we can just say it is a dump. It was time. Like there's no but you're celebrating all the relationships and all the memories, and there's a lot to kind of look forward to. Damon Amendolara, the Bill Maddock podcast, is our guest. DA, before we get your thoughts on what we're going to see in the other games here this weekend, the Harbaugh firing, where did the Ravens get this right? What would be the best fit or opportunity here for Harbaugh moving forward?
We discussed a lot of this on my SiriusXM show today. Is the Dolphins' job now the better job, the best job for Harbaugh? I don't know. I can't say that because the Dolphins have been a pretty dysfunctional organization for a while, but do they have more going for them than the Giants? It kind of feels like it's a push. I think the Ravens made a mistake here. And I know that there's been a lot of people saying that he's become ineffective. There's been a lot of late game problems. Him and Lamar clearly didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. And for all of those reasons, and Ian Rappaport also reported that there was a loss of some of the guys in the locker room, I guess logically I can understand it. But what are the odds you are going to hire another John Harbaugh? Yes, John Harbaugh has to come from somewhere, an unnamed assistant, anonymous assistant coach, and you kind of hit it out of the park, and he wins a Super Bowl in his first 5 years and goes to 3 AFC championship games in that span. But, what are the odds you fire that guy and find another guy that goes 18 years, 4 AFC championship games, a Super Bowl, and by the way, he was the 1 seed 2 years ago. It wasn't like there's been this slow erosion of the Ravens. 2 years ago, they won 13 games, and a year and a half ago, they won 12. It just happened that this year they missed the playoffs. And I just think it's a little reactionary. Now, again, I don't know the inner workings of that locker room, but I feel like it's a mistake to let a guy like that walk out the door. And if he goes to Miami and they start winning 12 and 13 games, it's going to be a real problem because, come on, Baltimore, why'd you do this? It's kind of like Tennessee. Why'd you have to leave Mike Vrabel out on the street here? We really didn't need more competition inside the AFC East. So I think the Giants are a better job, but I also don't love the idea that you are inherited by a GM that's also a lame duck in Joe Shane. So I'm not sure there's a clear-cut favorite for Harbaugh might go. Maybe it's the Falcons because it's a winnable division. But I know this, he's by far the best head coach that's been available on the market in a long time. In terms of free agent head coaches, that's the best guy that's been available in a long time.
DA, this weekend is going to be fantastic. Actually, starting tonight with the second college football semifinal. I want to get your take on that, too, but also Super Wildcard Weekend and all the other games that we've got going on. What's your sense on tonight's action between Oregon and Indiana? And then, let's get your thoughts on the Wildcard Week and all the other games that we haven't talked about yet.
I was hesitant to embrace Indiana as a true power until I saw what they did to Alabama. Yeah. And I know that this is not Nick Saban Alabama team, but everything that Indiana did and looked like, if you just swap the uniforms, you'd say, yep, that's Alabama football. They demolished the Tide in the trenches. They created big plays. They smashed them at the line of scrimmage. They held them down to almost no offensive production. And when they were beating them, they started beating them worse. Like the third quarter and fourth quarter was a tap out by Alabama. And I thought, oh my gosh, Indiana's become the bully. And I don't see that changing tonight. I think Indiana's better than Oregon, and I think they're much better than Miami, and I think this is a coronation of Indiana Hoosiers football, and it would feel much more logical to everybody if they just wore different uniforms. But because they're Indiana, it feels so awkward that it must be some type of Cinderella, but they're just much better than everybody else. They're better coached. They have the Heisman at quarterback. They create big plays. They're great at the line of scrimmage. They're punishing. They're physical. They're just better than everybody. So I think this is inevitably a Hoosiers championship, which just sounds so bizarre to say. For Wild Card Weekend, this is what makes this postseason really fun, is that you can give, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 different permutations of a Super Bowl matchup. And A, it would sound crazy, but B, it would sound practical. Like if you say Seahawks, Jaguars, you're like, no way. And then you think about it and go, yeah, no, yeah, I could see that. It's like, Broncos, Bears. You're like, oh, come on. And then you think about it and go, well, this happens, that happens. Caleb, yeah, I could see that. Bills, Rams. There's just a million different iterations and permutations that can happen here that aren't insane. And I think that makes it really thrilling. And I always kind of go back to the NFL can't lose. It's like, even though there's new blood here, there's enough old blood. Even though there's small markets, there's also big markets. Even though there's newbies, there are also old brands. The NFL just simply can't lose. And so it makes this fascinating thing. The only thing I don't like is the Monday night playoff game. I just think if you're going to have 6 games, have them 3 Saturday, 3 Sunday. I don't like waiting around until Monday night. Other than that, the NFL playoffs just continues to dominate, and games can be on Prime, they can be on Netflix, they could be on Peacock, they could be on a streaming service. It doesn't matter. They're going to get 25 million people, and it's going to be awesome. So it's like, buckle up. Let's just do this. Sometimes you got to hold your nose with the NFL, but let's do this.
DA, SiriusXM, and the Bill Maddock podcast, which, yes, you can go check out the preview coming up right now. But, DA, after the Jags game, what time will you be going on?
I think right after the game, I'm going to be going down to a Bills backers bar in New York City in Brooklyn. There's a place called Red's Tavern. It's an awesome Bills bar. It's owned by a woman named Megan who is from Western New York. She's a hardcore Bills fan. So I connected with her, and she said, come on down, and if you want to do the post-game show from here, let's do it. So I'm very excited to be amongst a bunch of Bills fans. Hopefully it's a win, and we'll do the show live from there and get live reaction right after the game. So it should be good down there. I'm excited and figure if the game kicks off at 1, right after the game, within 10 minutes or so, we'll be live on social media, specifically YouTube, easiest way to find me, but also on Instagram Live or on X as well. We'll be streaming on all those platforms.
Appreciate the time as always, brother DA. Have a great weekend. Let's try and talk again next week.
Yeah, let's hope so. Go Bills. Thank you, guys.
You got it. Damon Mendelera, host of the Bill Maddock podcast here on SiriusXM. And, of course, an alumni of the Fan Rochester as well. The great DA stopping by the sports. But he's been great all season long, too, man. This journey has been awesome. It's been a roller coaster ride. But being able to talk to DA, DA is kind of like your therapist, too, right? Like, we immediately, he's like, he acknowledges it. Like, isn't it so Bills of us to be thinking about the worst-case scenario? Let's attack this glass half full.
Yeah, like this is where we are because we've been hurt here since, the 2019 season, the loss in Houston. That's been one bad playoff loss after another here for this Bills team. He brings up a good point though when you're saying, all right, what could are the Bills mentally tough? The answer is yeah. Like, did you see them against Pittsburgh? Did you see what they did to the Chiefs? Did you see their comeback where they gave the Patriots this big runway and they stormed right back on the road? Like, Chiefs are not a playoff team, but the other two teams are. Like the Bills can do this, and then there's other instances where, like, you could win the game here and be the 5 seed, but you can't make the 2-point conversion against Philadelphia. So if it comes down to one play, what happens here? Danger, it's going to be nerve-wracking Sunday. That's the only thing I can tell you 100% for sure.
You're waiting in line for the roller coaster that you haven't been on before, but it's going to send you upside down and forwards and backwards, and you've got the butterflies in your stomach, and you just can't wait to get on that ride. I'm excited. It's going to be great.
I will be in Webster at the tap room at Bill Gray's with our sister station. Hope Breen will be anchoring that for WBEE, so that should be a lot of fun if you haven't been out to that place. It's massive.
Go say hey to Gino on Sunday if you're going to go check out the game outside of the comforts of your own home, or if you're not going to Jacksonville. I don't know, man. I think 15 to 20% is high. I just don't know if I see Jags fans being that easy.
Well, they're high on this team.
Yeah.
They're excited about this team. I don't know if this fits into the category of hostile environment for Buffalo. I mean, do they have that reputation down there?
The nickname of the stadium is the Bank.
Yeah.
There's nothing hostile about the Bank. Well, I mean, unless you're talking about the real bank, then it gets a little, give me my money. But this, I don't know if I consider it a hostile environment, and we'll see. We'll see how Bills Mafia shows up. We know they will, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and you can join Gino at Bill Gray's in Webster if you're out and about, wanting to look for a place to watch the game come Sunday afternoon. Happy hour on the way next. We have time for your calls, your predictions. If you want to give us your predictions for Sunday, we'd love to hear them at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
You're listening to the AM, WBEE HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Terrell Bernard is out for this game in Jacksonville. Maxwell Harrison, we already knew about. 4 players questionable. Josh Palmer, Ty Johnson, Shaq Thompson, and Matt Prater. Prater did not practice today. Cam Lewis on how Jacoby Myers fits in with that Jacksonville offense.
Kind of like the same thing he was doing in New England when he was there. He's very crafty, intermediate route runner. But, Terran faced him a lot, over his career. So I feel like it'd be a good matchup for him. But I feel like, we match up pretty good against him. Should be a fun game, though. We just need to create some turnovers, get our offense the ball back, some short fields, and let them play ball.
Coverage begins at 9 a.m. this Sunday here on the Sports Leader. The Amerks tonight hosting Laval. Coverage will begin at 7 with Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks. RIT tonight hosting Robert Morris. College football semifinal, Indiana facing Oregon, the Peach Bowl. Gene Battaglia, the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amerks. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Gino, for all the time that we've spent talking this afternoon about the action that we're going to have tonight with the college football semifinal, all the wild card action, we shouldn't gloss over the fact that this is an unbelievable sports weekend locally here as well. You've got the first place Rocket in town for Laval at Blue Cross Arena against the Amerks tonight. You'll hear that action on the Fan Rochester at 7 o'clock. And then tomorrow night, the rivalry is renewed.
Ah, yes, the Nighthawks taking on the Bandits. Like you with the Bears, just, okay, we can't win the championship, just beat Green Bay. Just beat the Buffalo Bandits to me. That's it. That's it. We had Thomas McConvey, by the way, on with us. If you missed that, you can go back and listen anywhere you find your podcast. Just type in Nighthawks Fan Rochester. You can find it relatively easy. He's going to be tonight. The Nighthawks playing down in Philadelphia. McConvey taking a cheap shot against that team. That was with the goalie fight game in December.
Yeah. So great weekend of local sports action here as well. If you want to go out and support the Nighthawks on Saturday night, or certainly the Amerks tonight, you won't be disappointed. Lots of
and the Tigers, buddy.
RIT as well.
Yeah. Tigers taking on Robert Morris.
We've got a report that the Ravens have requested an interview with Joe Brady. This is big news for Luke and Rochester. Big news.
Well, from the standpoint of that's a team we've got to get by. Let's take an interview with this guy, and maybe we're not thinking highly of him, but maybe we learn something in the process, right? It's time of year you should talk to anyone and everyone when it comes to your vacancies for GM or head coach, even coordinator. I want to learn things if I'm a position in hiring position. Maybe something slips. I don't know. Joe Brady, what he's done with his rushing attack. Joe Brady, if the Bills go far, and people will look at, look at this receiving core. Pop quiz, everyone. In terms of receiving yardage this year amongst wide receivers, number 1 on the list was Khalil Shakir. Who was number 2?
Receiving yards?
Receiving yards.
From wide receivers, not tight ends. Jeez. Is it Keon? It can't be Keon. He hasn't been active half of these games.
It's Keon Coleman.
Jeez. How many games has he been inactive? And he's still number 2 on that list behind the guy that was out there every game? I mean, you got to look at Josh Palmer.
404 yards.
You got to look at Palmer as like, what a disappointment.
Palmer, we forget about Curtis Samuel. Let me even make this worse. Okay, Keon Coleman, that first game. And if you have a chance, Keon Coleman was a monster in that first game. Like, okay, here we go. 8 catches, 112 yards, the touchdown off the deflection in the end zone. Like, this is what we were hoping for, right? Well, since that point, Danger, Keon Coleman, do the quick math, 292 yards, which is a good 2 games there for a real number 1 receiver.
All right, look. I want to go. I like what DA said. Let's be glass half full here for a second. We're gonna give our predictions, and Gino, I know what your prediction is.
Yeah, I'm saying it's Jacksonville. I would welcome the opportunity. Everybody put me on blast on Monday.
Since 2007, this is a stat that we shared earlier. I did a little bit more digging on this, and this is actually earlier this week. I shared that since 2020, Jacksonville was 0 and I want to say 17, something like that. The actual, you could even dig deeper, go further. Since 2007, Jacksonville is 0 and 25 when the over-under is 49 or more. Now, some trends you look at and you're like, oh, that could turn. 0 and 25. It's kind of like that Pittsburgh Monday night. At some point, it's going to break. But you don't want that to happen on your watch. Trevor Lawrence, by the way, 0 and 8 all-time when the over-under is 49 or more pregame. I also like the idea that 3 seeds that are underdogs are just 2 and 15 straight up and against the spread since 2004. I'm going Bills 27-24. I know what everybody's saying. Don't get into a shootout. I don't think this is a shootout. I think it does get a little bit ugly. It's going to come down to a turnover or 2. I like Cole Bishop in the middle of the field to get a turnover. And I like the Bills to advance. I really struggle with, and I know there are people that are anti-Sean McDermott. They're going to laugh. I have a real hard time seeing Sean McDermott losing to Liam Cohen, a rookie head coach, in the postseason.
Well, I mean, he's lost to other coaches along the way, too. Bill O'Brien. Yeah, there's been a lot of guys that McDermott has lost to. I'm going to give you a positive, okay? It's Friday. It's happy hour. We were joined earlier by Mia O'Brien, covers the Jags for various outlets. Cole Van Lanen is their left tackle, and he's a guy that is somebody who's bounced around, so he's not like the true anchor left tackle, but he's not going to be 100%. We can even if he's out there, he's not 100%, and the right guard isn't 100%. So this Bills pass rush, it's been spotty. Is that a fair word to say, spotty? We want more. I think they've been
able to affect the quarterback. They just don't always get him down. Like, that's the thing. We want the sack. The sack is beautiful, right?
Or hurry up and throw in a pick or something. The pass deflection. To me, that's the simple answer. Okay, if there's one thing that the Bills have to do, they have to put pressure on Trevor Lawrence. And then all things will be good on the back end. All things are going to be okay because of number 17 on the other side. Special teams, okay, maybe you don't win that battle, but you do have to get Trevor Lawrence off his mark if he's going to be comfortable in doing the things he's been doing in this 8-game winning streak. And, okay, let me see here. Thomas, Myers, Washington. Oh, look, there's Washington. Poof. He's up against Trey White. Honestly, he's going to have time. He's going to burn you. So does McDermott stick with 4? Does he get exotic? I expect him to mix it up, but that's a little encouraging to me that when you're just looking at comparing the two offensive lines, I mean, Bills have a clear advantage there.
Mm-hmm. Injuries, since you brought up injuries for Jacksonville, for the Bills, we know that Terrell Bernard will not be out there. We know that Maxwell Hairston will be out. Damar Hamlin is already listed as out, but he hasn't been activated from IR anyways. Prater is the big question. He did not kick today. That's usual, though, for his process 2 days before a game. Josh Palmer, Shaq Thompson, they're both questionable. Ty Johnson didn't practice Wednesday, Thursday, but he did get out on the field limited today. He is questionable for the game on Sunday as well.
Yeah, the Prater thing, it's got to be right kicking. I'm sorry, I'm not burning an extra spot here. I just
we'll learn tomorrow, right? They have to activate him from the practice squad tomorrow?
They do. If they activate him from the practice squad and elevate him, all right, then he's on the roster. But then I don't think it would be kind of silly to me to bring 2 kickers into this.
Agreed.
Yeah. 866-4FAN, 866-4326 is our phone number. Brad in Rochester starting us off in happy hour. Hey, Brad.
Hey, the biggest thing I think is you almost have to treat Trevor Lawrence like you're doing what you did that second half with Drake May, where it's flip-flopping every single coverage, every single everything, to confuse the daylights out of Trevor Lawrence. That's the only way we're going to do things, and hopefully we can contain him and not let his legs do damage. Because I don't trust their running game, and if we can confuse the daylights out of Lawrence, he's been known to throw picks, especially in the playoffs. And by 1 billion, that's all we got to win by. Just one. So don't bring in Prater. Don't.
Yeah.
Go for 2 all the time. I don't care.
Thank you. Go for 2. Didn't Tomlin do that in a regular season game? Like they scored the 3rd, and we're going to go for 2. Like, wait.
Yeah. Just eliminate kickers. Kickers need to go.
I think in fantasy football they should go.
All of it.
All of it should go. Trevor Lawrence, you brought up, like, that Monday night game, week 3 last year, he was terrible. And I've watched him over the years. I'm like, this guy isn't a franchise quarterback. He's inaccurate. He's making too many mistakes.
Do you remember how many touchdowns Josh Allen threw in that game? 47-10 was the final. This is 15 months ago. This is earlier in the season. We had Mia O'Brien on earlier. She said the biggest difference is the defense is 20 pounds lighter across the board. Everybody's in better shape.
Isn't that funny? Like the Bills put up that many points, and that's last year, and I can't recall a single one of the offensive touchdowns. I'm going to say it's a low number.
Josh Allen had 4 touchdown passes.
I'm completely wrong.
In the first half against the Jacksonville Jaguars last season. I know that this is a good Jags team, that they've won. You know, they don't have to apologize for their record. They beat a good Broncos team on the road. I'm going to put the faith in Josh Allen on this one. I'm going to say that if it gets out of hand, if the defense can't hold up their end of the bargain, at least you still have 17 who's had success against this defense as recently as last season. I know it's different coaches, different play, it's a lot of the same personnel. And again, I struggle with the idea of McDermott losing in this game to a first-year head coach. But that's me. I hope that we're here on Monday and we're not playing the blame assessment game. We're playing Bruno Martino, Gino. That's my wish for this weekend. For every Bills fan. And by the way,
that would feel so good.
If they do get past Jacksonville, we're going to go through this exercise all over again next week, because nothing is going to feel comfortable to the Bills this offseason.
Well, here's this is the weird thing. The Bills have never been in the spot, right, as a road team, and you would hope winning. But say the Bills do win, you're not going to know who you're playing right away. Like, you could get Pittsburgh, you could get Houston, you could get Denver. Mike Danger ranked those 3.
I want Pittsburgh.
Same.
And I think Pittsburgh's going to win on Monday night. I do. And I think the Chargers are going to beat the Patriots. There, I've given you my the AFC side of the bracket.
If the Chargers beat the Patriots.
I quizzed you earlier. I wanted to know, do you know how many teams with a winning record the New England Patriots beat this year? Now, again, they don't have to apologize. They beat who was on their schedule.
Yeah, and then you're like, okay, they beat the Bills in week 5. And then you're going through like, oh, okay, yeah, they were like the Bills. They played the NFC South. That didn't who was the other NFC team? Oh, yeah, the Giants they beat. That didn't. Wait a second. It was a 4th place schedule they played. The Bills are the only ones. The Bills are the only team.
Yep.
Wow.
It lost to the Raiders week 1.
Pete Carroll beat them.
It lost to the Raiders week 1. Not a winning team on this schedule. So, am I crazy for thinking that the Chargers can go into Foxborough and beat New England? I don't think I'm crazy for thinking that.
I think you're a little high, but that stat that we've thrown at you all week, the Patriots fall into that category. Teams that have lost, didn't make the playoffs the previous season, that are in the wild card round this season, and that are favored are 1-16 since 2017. The Patriots favored by 3.5. Now, you could fit that in a little narrow window where the Patriots win by 3, and that would add to this. So really, it's a betting stat. But yeah, outright, could the Chargers win outright? One thing that the Patriots don't do is get after the quarterback, and the one thing the Chargers are ailing right now is they're with backup tackles on the offensive line. So this, true or false, this would be the signature win for the quarterback, Justin Herbert, if he goes and beats off a number 2 seed?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Last year they beat Houston, though, right? They beat Houston last year in the or did Houston beat the Chargers? Houston won that one.
No,
Yeah, Harbaugh needs this. I think they get it done. I think Harbaugh and Herbert get it done. The Patriots are a nice story, but I think they still have a ways to go. Like the Patriots feel like Denver. Like every team feels like Denver did last year to me. Like Denver being the 1 seed this year isn't surprising to me when you consider that last year, with all that dead cap money, they were still a playoff team. And yeah, the Bills bounced them early in the playoffs, but you knew that they were going to be something this year. I didn't know they were going to be the 1 seed. I don't think anybody had them as the 1 seed, but I think it's what we've been saying all season. It's wide open. Who's good? We don't know. Week by week, it can change. And this week, I like the Chargers. In the NFC, I got to go with the Niners. They were my preseason Super Bowl pick for the NFC. Give me the Rams. I'm taking the Bears. I'm doing the first down celly every chance I get. Every menial task that I complete today, first down celebration afterwards. I just posted the podcast with Mia O'Brien and DA. First down. That way. We're going that way. Excited. Excited is an understatement. It's going to be a fun weekend of football, and it gets underway tonight with Indiana, Oregon as well. Love what DA had to say. Indiana just does everything better. They just look like a wagon.
Thanks to Mark Cuban for funding the NIL.
Yeah.
Right?
Coach is pretty good. Pretty good coach. He's a psycho.
They're all psychos.
Fun to watch. Yeah, Lanning's a psycho too. Psycho Bowl tonight. Lanning versus Cignetti. I like it. The Dolphins have a new GM. Did you see this?
Yeah.
John Eric Sullivan?
Guy with the hyphenated first name.
Oh. Do you have a take on a guy with a hyphenated first name?
Like there was a guy that I went to school with. He was David Sven. And
David Sven?
Yeah, we used to call him David hyphen Sven. You just kind of mock him like, wait a second, what's your name, Dave? Is it Sven? No, it's David hyphen Sven.
John hyphen Eric Sullivan, the new GM in Miami. He worked for the Packers for the last 21 seasons in a variety of different scouting and personnel roles. Last 4 seasons with the Packers as the team's VP of player personnel.
Well, I want to congratulate him because if there's one thing when you're a GM of the Dolphins, you can kind of stay around for a long time, as long as you ingratiate yourself to the owner there.
I wonder if his first order of business is luring John Harbaugh. And I wonder how much of a deterrent that is for John Harbaugh. Like, really? You're going to pair me with a first-time GM?
Yeah, like if you're weighing everything out here, like Atlanta is like an open book, right? Hey, Harbaugh could say, hey, can I bring in my own GM?
You're going to work with Matt Ryan, like most likely as a president of football operations.
Yeah, how do those two have a relationship? I keep coming back to the Giants, though. Like, that would feel right. And it would give the Giants a boost, and there is something there. Ultimately, it may be Atlanta. I just don't see Miami being that guy because of the quarterback, right? How long is it going to take to get away from Tua's contract, and how long a runway are you going to have? To me, it feels like a teardown in Miami, and I think Harbaugh would have better opportunities. But then again, Stephen Ross is crazy. He may overpay. He may who knows what he would offer up. Maybe Harbaugh wants to just go live in South Beach in warm weather year round. Who knows?
Let's see. Oh, we got some housekeeping to take care of here on X. You can reach out to us on Twitter at @TheFanRochester. Matthew McGrain. Haven't heard from Matt in a while on X.
Love hearing from people.
Mia is the best local beat reporter you've ever had on. She knows ball. Matthew, your opinion matters to us here in the Sports Bar. Thank you for sharing that. Greg, Chuck Munchia pet on X. Quote, the sack is beautiful. My childish brain is just a gif of the guy from The Office laughing. The sack is beautiful. We're talking football. What are you thinking about, Greg? Get your head out of the gutter. and then to get rid of the kicker, Gino, do you want to get rid of the kicker?
Get rid of the kicker.
Yeah, that's my solution. Just get rid of kicking in football. The only position connecting to the name of the sport of football, you'd have to change the name to what? American ball?
Yeah.
American ball. I'll just go with American ball. How about that, Greg? Appreciate that.
Our handle, The Fan Rochester. You can also write to us if you have comments about suggestions for the station. Danger and I always listen. Get back to you right away as well.
We do, yes. And look, I'll say this. I know that we've fielded a couple of comments through the course of the week. It's a new lineup on The Fan Rochester outside of our show. Kind of something that's a little out of our hands, but we're trying to take some control back.
A little out of our hands, not in our hands.
We're
We're
trying to take some control back, and change is constant
Come
in
on,
life.
Danger.
Change is constant
Come on,
in life.
Danger. Storm the Bastille, Danger.
We will do what we can to continually give you the best sports content in Rochester here on The Fan. And just give me a little patience. Just give it a little time. And hopefully we can deliver on that expectation.
We're working on it.
Working on it. Appreciate you listening. We got to get to a round of shots next.
Yeah, things we can get to here. Maybe I can give you convince you that Oregon has a really good shot to win the whole thing here.
Oh.
Sabres are a wagon. We have to take this team seriously now? Yes, we do.
They're in a playoff position,
Yeah.
Gene.
Yeah, bad moment for the NBA last night, something that hasn't happened since 2017. Rob Manfred, he's making my head explode with some of these things he's throwing out there. I can't imagine what baseball writer would think about this.
Maybe if Manfred knew anything about the game, he would forgive baseball writer. I'm sorry, I just can't believe that he would make these suggestions. But maybe baseball writer will weigh in.
You know, if you were a kind person, you wouldn't talk like that.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just, this whole thing has been a disaster, and I'm never coming on the Fan Poughkeepsie ever again. I can't believe you would make these suggestions.
The one time we had John Heyman on, he asked me, where am I? This is Richmond? No, it's Rochester. I know, kind of close.
I like the Fan Richmond better than the Fan Rochester. You guys are disrespectful, and maybe if you were kind, you would let it go, but you don't let it go. And this whole thing has been a disaster. I'm never coming on the Fan Richmond ever again.
I don't think we're ever having John Heyman on the show again.
No, I don't think we will either. You're damn right. I'd rather soon go on WFAN than come in the Fan Richmond.
John, you have a good deal because Scott Boras gives you a little bit of money to
I
put
can't
out
believe you would say, I know you don't have any journalistic integrity at all. You don't know anything about journalism, and I can't believe you would make such a... Excuse me. Let's get to shots next. What do you say?
Yes, back right after this.
From Sabres heartbreak to is The Fan Rochester. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Couple key pieces on defense out for this game. We knew about Maxwell Harrison. Terrell Bernard also won't suit up. 4 players are questionable. Wide receiver Josh Palmer, running back Ty Johnson, linebacker Shaq Thompson, and the kicker Matt Prater. Prater did not practice today. Deion Dawkins on taking that underdog role.
No. Aren't we the 6th seed? Nobody's talking about the Buffalo Bills. So I feel like, all the stress is not on our shoulders, I mean, the mindset is to win no matter what, right? Like, now we just need to be prom king and queen at the end. So, I like our team against anybody, so.
Pregame coverage begins here 9 a.m. Sunday on The Fan Rochester. Amerks hosting Laval tonight. Coverage will begin at 7 o'clock. Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks will be by. RIT hosting Robert Morris. College football semifinal tonight. Indiana facing Oregon in the Peach Bowl. Nighthawks are in Philadelphia. Gene Battaglia, The Fan Rochester.
Got a smart speaker at home? Listen to the sports leader, The Fan Rochester at home, by asking it to play 95.7 The Fan.
Can you do me a favor, Danger? That soundbite we just ran from Deion Dawkins. Can you play this one more time?
No. Aren't we the 6th seed? Nobody's talking about the Buffalo Bills. So I feel like, all the stress is not on our shoulders, I mean, the mindset is to win no matter what, right? Like, now we just need to be prom king and queen at the end. So, I like our team against anybody, so.
No one's talking about the Buffalo Bills. Everyone is talking about the Buffalo Bills.
Let him believe.
Is that Deion just trying to turn the ship
Whatever
in a different, or is he completely oblivious to
whatever the cope is? Fine. That's the mindset you should have going into the game, is that all we have to do is win. That's the only thing we want to do. We're only thinking about this game. We're the 6th seed. Disrespect us all you want. I would love it if there was like a rallying cry. Like a team like the Bills this year should have something to rally around. I don't know if they have that this year or what that is, but like teams that have that, I think it gives them an advantage. I think it gets them to perform a little bit out of their shoes. I mean, like the Eagles got to a Super Bowl with no one likes us, we don't care. I mean, like the us against the world mentality, coupled with all that matters is the win. All that matters is our next game.
One win.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. One win. Like, okay. And if it's a convincing win, all right, then you can take on that underdog role. There's only one blemish, Danger, here in shots. Talking about the Oregon Ducks. Only one blemish on the record. That was to Indiana, of course. That came back on October 11th. At the time, Oregon was ranked 3rd nationally. Yeah. Indiana was ranked 7th. That win for Indiana was their first ever win over a top 5 program since 1967. Talk about going from 0 to 60 with this program. That was really it. Oregon quarterback Dante Moore wasn't good that day. 186 yards, touchdown, but he threw 2 picks, sacked 6 times, 30-20. Hoosiers, the final. Tonight, Indiana is a 3.5-point favorite. Danger, who do you like?
I like Indiana. I like Indiana. It's crazy. Everything DA said about this matchup and about college football this year, I'm 100% in lockstep with. Like, you have to rub your eyes and kind of squint and look at the TV and be like, is that Indiana? Or, like, the Rose Bowl was shocking. Like, is that Indiana or is that Alabama? Because they're acting like Alabama.
Alabama looked like the subdivision team.
Yeah.
Like, it was Indiana's defense pounding away at them.
And for years we watch Oregon football and we, it's predicated on speed and they look fast and they look sharp. They play tight, right? And at the time that I think they had beaten Penn State before they had lost to Indiana, so like that Penn State win felt like a big deal for Oregon. It turned out not to be a big deal because Penn State fell apart completely. But this is a Dante Moore versus Fernando Mendoza game as well. Like, I think if you have doubts about Mendoza, look at what Moore does. And I know Moore is smaller, a little smallish in size, but he can improve his stock with the performance tonight. I like the Hoosiers, though. What they did to Alabama is hard for me to unsee. What they did in beating Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship is hard for me to unsee. And I think it's their year. It's just hard to adjust to the idea that Indiana football could be a wagon.
So Indiana on Martin Luther King Day night playing Miami, their home stadium, wearing road uniforms. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Last time the Sabres won 12 of the last 13, you have to go back to 2005. Now, maybe the Sabre team is different, Danger. Maybe even more impressive than the 12 of 13. Buffalo has won 8 of their last 9 on the road. After the win against the 8 of their last 9 on the road.
Sorry.
8 of their last 9.
Sorry, Gene.
9 times.
That one caught me a little. That was almost like a 6-7 there, by the way.
Yeah, 8-9. After the win against the Rangers, the Sabres remain in 8th as they are percentage points ahead of the Leafs. Buffalo at 5.95. Toronto at 5.70. Sabres hosting the Ducks tomorrow, 7 o'clock for the coverage. Since the Amherst do not play tomorrow night, we'll have that game for you right here on the Sports Leader.
Fun game last night in the Garden. Samuelson gets a shorthanded goal that kind of puts it away. Your odd angle shot that when it went in, it's like, oh my God, how did that go in? They're fun to watch right now. It was edge of your seat stuff. Like I think we're conditioned to seeing teams kind of surge, and in the third period, the Rangers were playing pretty strong, and then you had a 4-minute double minor to Krebs that made you kind of sit on the edge of your seat a little bit, like, oh, God, are they going to give this up? Are they going to give this up? And Samuelson scores the shorthanded goal that kind of puts it away. So it's worth monitoring. I'll say that. The Sabres are at least worth monitoring. I think they'll be worth monitoring. What happens after the Olympics is what's going to be interesting.
Well, that's the problem. Like, you're be hot. You could see the Sabres playing well the rest of this month, and then, okay, everybody see you in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
How's that work for everybody?
That's going to be interesting to watch.
By the way, did you see that? They did have the walk-through today.
Architects are in the corner, like, shivering, like, please don't fall apart. Please don't fall apart.
Oh, okay, so...
Don't cave in. Please don't cave in.
Like literally, the building isn't closed in yet. The ice isn't 100%.
They'll get it. They'll get it.
They have no choice to get it.
It'll be tight. They'll get it.
For the first time since 2017, we had an NBA game postponed due to condensation on the court. This happened in Chicago last night, the game between the Bulls and the Heat. They tried everything to get that court dry to no avail. All the circumstances were back in 2017 similar to last night. A warm spell in the middle of winter, right after a hockey game. No make-up date yet here for that game.
Okay.
Tonight, the Knicks are at Phoenix. That's one of 10 games in the league. Celtics hosting Toronto. Milwaukee is in L.A. to face the Lakers. This surely will make baseball writer recoil.
I'm right here. I'm ready to talk about this. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, it's the station you won't go on anymore.
No, I refuse. This whole thing with WFAN has been a disaster. I won't be coming on the show ever again.
Commissioner Rob Manfred went on WFAN, talked about a couple ideas they're kicking around. One is an in-season tournament similar to what the NBA has with the NBA Cup.
This is preposterous. I can't believe they would consider this. We are not the NBA. We have rich tradition, and this is a blemish on what Major League Baseball should mean to this country.
Another possibility is introducing the split-season format, which... Wait a second. Oh, my gosh. Maybe was that why they were testing this out here in the minor leagues? Well, we didn't care about that here, did we? No. About the in-season tournament. That's a little more far-fetched because it would result in less games, which many would see as a non-starter, with owners taking in less gate revenue.
America has been rolled over by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time, and it will continue to mark the time. These ideas are just preposterous, and shame on Rob Manfred for even suggesting that you disrupt the sanctity of this precious game. I'm never coming on the show again. It's been fun having me on the Fan Richmond. I won't be coming on again, ever again. Thanks, Derek.
Do NBA fans like the NBA Cup? The answer I kind of gather is no. So, I'm all for stealing ideas.
Although I do think the Knicks should hang the banner now because the way they've been playing as of late, I don't know that they're going to win anything else. Go ahead and hang the banner for the NBA Cup.
They beat the Clippers the other night.
Okay, all right.
And they get the Suns, who aren't what they used to be here.
Okay.
Finally, which team in the NFL has the most injury problems year in, year out? I think the answer is the San Francisco 49ers. You can make a strong case. look, it might just be bad luck, right? Might be anything. But could there be a scientific reason for this? Right next to the Niners practice facility is an electrical substation. There is data that shows that low-frequency electromagnetic fields can degrade collagen, weaken tendons, cause soft tissue damage at levels regulators call safe. Now, there's a scientist named Peter Kalman who's done the research. Since moving to Levi Stadium in 2014, the 49ers, top 5 in just games lost to injury, 10 of 11 seasons, 7 to 8 full Achilles tears. Other teams averaged 2 to 3 in that time. High ankle sprains, there are plenty with the 49ers. Danger, are you buying this theory that the practice field right next to a substation is contributing to this?
Sure. I mean, we work in radio, and I've been exposed to RF. Not as much as my colleagues, but I've seen RF do some really gnarly things, and
It's what, like cancer and stuff?
Yeah, you hear like, oh, this engineer died of cancer, and this engineer had tumors, and this. I'm like, yeah, I prefer to stay away from the towers and the RF and everything else.
So one of the most memorable days here in the sports bar was it was kind of a busted eclipse, right? Like we were all expecting this big thing, but we decided, okay, what can we do that's a little different? We did the broadcast because at the time we were on the air was when the event was happening. We did it from the roof here at High Falls. Like it's an old building. If you're ever down here, it's the High Falls Studios. And, okay, don't step off the edge of the roof because you'll fall over and you'll die. Okay, that's one thing. But don't step here, don't step here, don't step here. I learned all about the dangers.
Yeah, don't get zapped by the satellites that are up there on the roof. I'll always remember that. I mean, I wish we had clear skies for that day. That would have made it even more memorable. But it was eerie how it got dark in the middle of the afternoon, even though it was an overcast afternoon.
It was eerie being up there. And because everybody, like pretty much cars and whatnot, everybody had stopped, you're hearing dogs and birds and everything in the city of Rochester is going wild. Like, wait a second, what's going on here? Why are we dark here?
They got all thrown off from the eclipse. Yeah. Do I buy that the Niners? Yeah, I buy that. Sure. That might be something. That might be something. I don't necessarily believe in bad luck. Like, that could be a factor. But will anything happen? Will anybody do anything about it? No.
No,
of course.
I don't know the land out there, but it's kind of tight, right? Like, it's not like they can go put the practice field somewhere else.
I've got them beating the Eagles on Saturday. Not necessarily because I think that they're a better team than the Eagles right now, but I picked them to host or to be in the Super Bowl in their stadium. They're the host of the Super Bowl. My preseason prediction was Bills-Niners Super Bowl. So I'm still alive there, and I can't pick against the team that I have going to the Super Bowl. Therefore, I will take the Bills 27-21 over Jacksonville, and I have the Niners beating the Eagles as well.
I have the Jags 31-19. I don't know if the Bills can get a pass rush. I think Trevor Lawrence will be able to pick one of the three receivers going over the middle.
Are we crazy? Share your prediction. What would you think about Sunday's outcome? At 585-866-4FAN. Last call is next in the sports bar. You can have the final word. 866-4326.
You're listening to the Sports No chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
We don't know what the world will look like on Monday, but we can tell you that we will have two fantastic Bills takesmen on with us to react one way or the other.
Yes, Jeremy White from WGR. It's Jeremy and Joe, or as one national radio show called it, Jerry and Joe.
Yeah.
He will join us on Monday, as will Nate Geary, Buffalo Bills Radio Network, and you also hear him on our sister station, too, WGR in Buffalo, because it's either going to be the highest of highs or the, oh my gosh, where do we go
I know
next?
why you booked Jeremy. You booked Jeremy because you think that when the Bills lose on Sunday, it's going to be a horrific wide receiver performance. And Jeremy took the brunt of Brandon Beane's heat this offseason when we dared question why there wasn't more done at wide receiver. And he was right.
You know me too well.
He was right.
Yeah.
He was right. Like, we were absolutely justified in questioning, did this team do enough to address that position? And the answer is no. But can they still win with what they have? Basically the same guys as last year, save for Brandon Cooks. Can you win with your tight ends? Can you win with James Cook? Can you win with Josh Allen? I'm fascinated. I think it's going to be look, win or lose, Monday is going to be a lot of fun here in the Sports Bar.
Oh, if they win, and let's say the Chargers do the unthinkable and they beat the Patriots, you're calling that
unthinkable. Not unthinkable.
Like, we will be glued to Monday Night Football. We will be anyways. But it's kind of wild to think that finally the Bills win on Sunday. If they pull it off, they will not. We won't know where they'll be going.
So that's Sunday afternoon. We'll have action for you, our pregame coverage starting at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. We have action tonight from Blue Cross Arena. First place in the North Division, Laval, the Rocket, are in town. The Amerks looking to get over at home. We'll have Don Stevens, Andrew Mossbrooks on the call. That's just after 7 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, that should be good. As Laval, long season. Amerks have to go to Belleville on Sunday, 3 o'clock. Look, if you can pile some wins here, Danger, around the corner beginning on January 23rd, there will be a 6-game homestand for the Amerks. Season high, right? So opportunity for them to pile some wins. Metz is back, by the way, too. So,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sabres got hot, or they remain hot. They get the win last night at Madison Square Garden. We'll have Sabres action for you as they host the Ducks tomorrow night. It's a weekend of action here on the Fan Rochester with the Amerks tonight, Sabres tomorrow night, the Bills on Sunday.
My apologies. Zach Jones got my two guys there.
Oh,
Zach
Metz
Jones
is still up with...
Yeah, Zach Jones came, though.
Okay.
My apologies.
Good, but look, hey, it's there for the Amerks as well. You want to be the man, beat the man. Laval, first place tonight, Blue Cross Arena. Tomorrow night, if you're, again, local sports, you got a great weekend of action. If you want to support the Nighthawks, Buffalo coming to town, Blue Cross Arena tomorrow night.
And, we're getting pretty close here as we soon will have golf. You know how these January golf tournaments, like the nice, pretty pictures.
Need them.
Brooks Koepka formally applying for PGA Tour reinstatement today.
What are they going to say? No?
Right.
What are we doing? Like, okay. Why is this a story?
You sit in the corner and think about what you've done, Brooks.
Please.
You have stained the PGA Tour.
Please, yeah. One of the best golfers in the world in the PGA Tour is going to turn their nose up at him and say no, because why? Because he went for a better job and took more money? Please. Get him back in there. It's fine. And start showing us some blue skies, some golf in Hawaii. I'll take that.
I would say more money, yes. Better job, debatable. But
it's the same job. He's golfing. His job is to golf. You're getting paid more. Go take that, and yeah, let's see them. I dare them to say no to Brooks Koepka. No, you're not. You're not able to come back on the PGA Tour. I dare them to. They won't do it. He's back. College football semifinal tonight. Indiana, Oregon.
Yeah,
gonna be fun. And that's our little appetizer before we get to Super Wild Card Weekend with a couple games tomorrow 3 games on Sunday, and we'll be back Monday before we get to the Monday night finale in Pittsburgh with the Texans taking on the Steelers. We'll see what the world looks like when we return 3 o'clock Monday afternoon right here in the Sports Bar. If you missed D.A., Damon Amendolara, if you missed Mia O'Brien from Jacksonville, both conversations are available for you. Wherever you get your shows, search out the Sports Bar. That includes Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can also check out our live stream. Go back and watch any part of the show you may have missed on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. Bet MGM tonight with Brad Evans, Pat Boyle. The big noise before we get to Amerks hockey coming up at 7 o'clock. Have a great weekend. Thanks for listening to The Fan Rochester.
You're listening to the